Hello, and welcome to Final Show Films. I'm John, or Senstaku, as you might know me on Twitter, the executive producer here, and I just want to thank you for watching. It really means a lot to us that people watch, listen to, and enjoy our shows. If you want to help us keep making these shows as fun and lively as they can be, please join your fellow fans in supporting us at our Patreon page at patreon.com/fsfilms or by subscribing to our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/finalshowfilms. It really means a lot to us that the amount of you who do support us continue to do so, especially our $25 plus tier supporters on Patreon. Antitonic, Cat Waterflame, Samantha Bates, Maureen Monty, and Gravity Alexander. Every little bit helps, so thank you to all of our patrons and subs. Check us out on Twitter at Final Show Films and on our website at www.finalshowfilms.com for updates, go-live notifications, and more. We love interacting with you, so feel free to tweet at us or email us at finalshowfilms@gmail.com. That being said, please relax and enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And every time online.
That's all right. They can hear this too. Every time I pass it, I read it as NVIDIA.
Oh, of course.
Rather than Envision. And the only thing I can think of is Welcome to the Holy Church of PC Gaming. Today we talk about increasing your splits. And that's it.
And on that note,
Hello.
I'm Zach. I normally sit over there. Now I sit over here because I am the DM for this little miniature campaign in the Starfinder universe. So, for those of you who don't know what Starfinder is, it's Pathfinder in space. It's kind of great. We have a good variety of characters here. You should get a pretty good idea of what kinds of crazy things you can do.
Best character.
You think it?
His character thinks he's the best character.
Yes.
Yeah. So, when last we left off, our intrepid band of people who just kind of wanted to be on a spaceship to go somewhere
Our intrepid band of accident victims.
were flying around on this ship designed in a far-flung foreign star system that is designed to go really, really fast. And it went really, really fast until they received a transmission from a heavily armed starship, and a brief combat soon followed. Unfortunately, this ship has the laser cannons that were necessary. That ship had lasers and missile launchers. It didn't go very well for our...
I mean, it went pretty well considering. I
It
took out
went
one of their weapons
every
arrays.
bit as well as we could have possibly wanted it to.
Well, exactly.
Namely for the fact that
I think
you
the
are
whole thing was
all
set
in
against
one
us.
piece and not in the middle of a black hole after the reactor almost exploded.
We may have been sent to a different time, though. We don't know yet.
So, after crash landing on Castrovel,
Title draw!
The title of this one's Landfall.
The title of the campaign is Crash Landing.
The last episode was Crash Landing. This one's Landfall.
I made a title drop of the last episode because I'm describing the last episode.
Yeah.
But yes, so you landed, and you have landed specifically on Soivrian. I do not have the pronunciation right in front of me. I forget which of the letters come first, but it's the continent of the elves on the planet of Castrovel. So, let's go ahead and introduce our intrepid explorers here, starting on my left.
Hi. I am a character. I didn't write my
Having a
name
brain
down?
fart.
No, you didn't write your name.
How did I forget my own name? Can we come back to it
I
when
wrote it
remember my
down
name?
because your name was Grace.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Grace.
You should write your name down.
I should write my name down. I have memory problems.
Try to spell it correctly. This time.
Yeah. I have
Which name are you writing down, Grace or Austin?
Write down both of them and
He
specify
never
which one
forgets
is
his own
which.
name, he just forgets yours.
Yeah, and our children's.
I've forgotten my name a couple times. Yes, I am Grace. I am an Isoki envoy, and I am joined by Mischief, who is a Squawks, and Doldrums, my not quite sentient AI computer.
Like, I remember their names, but not your character's
Of
name.
course, they're the more important.
Look, Mischief is a fox thing. Fox things trump.
And on your left,
Hello, I am Holly. I am playing Bizu, and he is a Skittermanor mechanic, joined by his trusty mechanical steed, Sparky.
And on your 3 left-hand side,
Yes, I am William, and I am playing Najka Flamehowl, who is also a mechanic, who is a half-orc, and accompanied by her AI, who is in her head, named Fyron, and is also a live streamer, because, of course.
and on my right,
That is me. I am Stan. I'm playing Shank, the Solarian Vesk.
and on his right,
I'm John. I'm playing Senstaku, the Borai Lashunda Solarian. Apparently, only person with survival skills in this party, and also native of Castrovel.
I have survival as a skill.
and on the right of the
Survival
pile
skills,
of proper
not survival
nouns.
as a skill.
Hey, I'm Rudy. I am playing A1111 or A41 for shorts.
A41.
All for one and...
Oh, cute.
Yes,
All for one and guns for all.
yes. And he is a Technomancer android.
Yay.
And
Where is your protege?
we shall...
Introduce
Yes,
him
go
later.
ahead and introduce yourself briefly here.
And making a special cameo, I'm Taylor, and I am playing Bill Starfarmer, a halfling soldier.
And
Tribute
you
to the battle.
have had a rather unpleasant wake-up this morning. You're very tired from your last series of assignments. You really just wanted to get to your destination as fast as possible, and what was that horrible ruckus? You sort of rub your
Through the
eyes and
crash landing.
sit up. That's weird. You don't remember this bed being diagonal before. Or against this wall.
Oh, we crashed
And
into this
all of
place.
your personal possessions seem to be scattered about the floor and the aforementioned wall.
I see.
And that panel really shouldn't be sparking right now.
Someone scavenging for parts.
So, I feel like I need to get out and find the escape pod.
So you go ahead and open the door, and you see who was scavenging for parts. You were.
I was.
I was...
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think all the engineers
what-
were.
Oh,
All the
yes, I
engineers.
was.
Everyone
I'm sorry, I
except
couldn't
for me
remember.
was still inside the ship.
Okay, so let's see. You run into an android walking down the hallway.
Well, walking up the hallway at this point.
You know,
Does it look like a friendly android or an unfriendly android?
he looks like an android. What does he look like?
He looks fairly. He looks fairly friendly. Yeah, he's got his armor is blue. It's kind of like this. There you go.
Kind of like Ball
Yeah.
Boy.
All right.
Color wise, he's got a red scarf. He does have blondish hair, but pulled back.
Do you look like the store mannequin that somebody put, like the thing that they put out, like, this is the model of this android? And it's like, yeah, I'm done. Bye.
Yeah, but yeah.
All
He's-
right.
He looks friendly.
All right, mechanical man. I've been in a lot worse. Trust me. Get behind me. Nothing bad will happen. We're gonna get out of this ship, and we're gonna make them pay.
Remember, he's like 3 foot tall.
Got it?
How tall are you?
3'2".
Oh!
Tall for a halfling.
Almost as tall as Holly.
I'm a little taller.
We have 3 small
Oh,
sized
in the
characters
game.
now.
Thank you all so much.
Look, just because we have 3 people in the room who are 6.5 feet tall or taller.
Austin made me stand in the middle of him, Taylor, and Rudy earlier.
Yes.
Yeah.
Look, I was the shortest person of the 3 of us, and that's a problem.
Well, I mean,
There were 4 people there, Austin.
Oh, yeah!
John! I was in the room!
I just I'm the shortest of the 3 of us that are here. Holly right there.
I meant in the ring. So I brought Holly into the ring.
I see.
To make your wife feel shorter, I see.
to compensate for your own Napoleon complex.
Exactly.
A 6-foot person should not have a Napoleon.
Sometimes when you're 6'6" and you feel short.
No,
You know what?
No,
When I
no.
compel-
Tall people have the most Napoleon complex when they meet another tall person.
It really does.
Yeah,
But like when you walk up to
unusual.
somebody, you're like, I don't have to look down to see you in the eyes. That's weird.
Yeah.
Now you know how I feel.
I got on a bus once, and there was only standing room, and I looked around and noticed I was the shortest person standing there, and I was freaked out. This basketball practice had just ended,
On
and I was
Holly's,
standing next to the GT.
when we were helping Holly move into her dorm, we got a pair of the basketball players walked by us, and they were both 7 feet tall.
No, one was 6'10" and one was 7 foot even.
Now you know how I feel all the time.
All I'm saying is I forget how much taller I am than Holly until we walk by near, and then I'm like, wow, I'm a freakishly tall human
This is
being.
the only
I
reason
have-
you keep me around is because I'm short and I make you feel better about yourself. This is what you've been saying.
Holly, we've got a spare bed at our place. You can come over whenever you want.
The same thing happens with me and my mother. I will, and at random moments, I'll just realize the height difference. I'm like,
There is also an empty room and a mattress in our house. So
I have offers. I also have children here, so.
we have options.
Well, I have kids too. They can play together.
Or just, surprise babysitting as punishment.
I don't think it's babysitting
It's
when
not-
they're
yeah,
my
it's not-
kids, too.
That is the thing that pisses me off. It's not babysitting when they're your kids.
It's parenting.
All the time it's like, oh, Dad's babysitting the kids today? No, Dad is parenting his fucking kids.
Dad is watching the children because they're mine.
Dad is being. I'm sorry that whatever father figure you had was not an active figure in your life, but Dad is being a dad.
Yeah. Oh, every time I go to the mall with Griffin, and they're like, "Oh, it's having a daddy and me day." It's like, we live in the same house.
We're having a
like,
day.
It's just a day.
All right.
So what kind of armor do you have?
So
That
rants
derailed
about
quickly.
parenting and height aside,
So we've stalled enough for Taylor to get his character.
Yeah,
down.
I'm still looking
He's
up
still looking at
my
the-
weapon statistics.
But that's okay.
I mean, we
I can
could
take
keep
charge
this
of the
up.
situation regardless. I pull out my my special item, which is a pad that has all of the listed military procedures for these situations, and I pull up a standard evacuation plan procedure for this starship with a few quick taps.
You don't find one because it's a unique starship.
You don't find one for this particular type of starship. It's a pretty much brand new model that comes from off-world.
It's pretty much a
out of system.
prototype. You can't find it.
All right, mechanical man, we get a challenge here. The procedures don't apply to this situation. However, we can all apply the add method. Adapt, deploy, and distribute. We're going to adapt an existing procedure to this situation. We're going to deploy that situation, see how it works, and then we're going to distribute it to other units we encounter.
Walked off
Do you
yet.
understand?
Have you left yet?
where did you come from?
Doesn't matter right now. We have a mission to do. Let's go.
So, where on the whole...
I start looking for indicators for escape pods.
Where on the whole there are pirates coming and I've notified the people inside the ship are we on this at this point?
I think we're already crashed.
Well, no.
We're crafting.
Yeah, 'cause
the pirates
I-
have crash landed,
the
right? I
pirates
remember.
crash landed.
Yeah, they
Whenever we
crashed
saw
landed.
You've
the
just
smoke.
given the notification to everyone, so everyone is aware of the fact that
Except
there
him.
was a...
Except him.
Yeah.
Yes, except you, because you just woke up. So, everyone's aware of that. People are just finishing up their scavenging. You're probably in the med bay still dealing with that last little bit of stuff you're doing.
Yeah. So I'm in the med bay.
Can just so that I have a bit more information, is there any sort of like survival check I could make to indicate? I'm operating on the assumption that they saw where we landed because they came down after us. Is there any sort of check I could make, like survival or something, to give an idea as to how long it might take for any survivors of that crash to get to where we are, based on the
You
topography
said it was
between
what,
us?
about a half mile or
It was a couple miles.
a couple miles?
Yeah, a couple miles,
A couple
but
miles, okay.
It's
Yeah,
rough
they're a
terrain.
few miles off. You can go ahead and just straight up roll some survival to see how quickly you would expect someone to be able to traverse the jungle.
That's a 2. Which makes that a 8. I'm not that familiar with this jungle.
You're really not sure.
Yeah.
You're guessing it would be like less than 3 days. You're not used to jungles a whole lot. You kind of lived in, a desolate wasteland planet for a bit there.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm just going to keep an eye on that until everybody gets out of the ship and we head off.
Cool. So everyone is grouping up.
Presumably.
At which point you find.
I found a new friend.
Yes, I found some bad. Where did you come from?
I was on assignment here. I've been working on my quarters on some sensitive information. But I'm available now to take charge of your band and lead us to a successful outcome of this martial encounter.
All right, so I think that it's going to be very important for us to figure out. You said that the space pirates crash landed.
Come down from the top of the ship.
Yes, space
Yeah.
Where did they land?
I'll indicate it was north of us.
They landed
Or
south of you.
South of us, yeah.
You would
Oh, that's
guess
good. Give us the wrong
that the closest settlement would probably be to the north. They crash landed to the south.
Yeah, a
All right.
few miles to the south.
How long do you think it'll take us to get to their ship?
To their ship?
Yeah.
Did it look like it was in flying condition?
It was.
It looked like they were definitely able to make it a slightly prettier landing than yours.
Yeah.
It was
Not
it was
difficult.
less crash into a mountain and hope we don't die, and more so we need to land right now or something bad's gonna happen.
I've downloaded all the data from there. Doldrums, system analysis. Where did the initial shot hit the opposing ship?
So, in response to your initial question, I can't really tell how long it would take us to get there. I would recommend going the opposite direction, though.
Why?
Finding a trading post is going to be easier
How
than
about finding
dealing
why we
with
crashed?
pirates.
Let's be frank here. That pirate ship crashed. Why did it crash? Why did it come after us? Why did I pull up the video showing the bug person falling asleep at the science station while we are hurtling through the atmosphere? Why did this happen? We hit them in the weapon system, not the engine system. Why would they fly into a civilized, protected area after us?
What tier is your computer?
3.
Tier 3? Okay. Let's see if it can sufficiently analyze what it's got. The analysis shows that, because I assume you gave it the adequate readings from your sensors, from the logs, or whatever, it looks like the ship had shields up in time. You don't think it got through the shields,
Okay.
but it would have dealt a good amount of damage to it, because it hit it sort of at an odd angle. If they were preparing shields in the front, it would have blindsided those
So we
shields.
hit the shield and then we hit the weapons. So we didn't do anything to the propulsion.
Yeah.
So there's no reason for them to have crash landed, which means that they are just as much lost as we are, probably quite injured. And
Didn't
if
the
I
captain
could
say
assume,
that the planet had some kind of defensive maneuver?
Yes.
We were trying to get close to it. Maybe.
why did they follow us though?
They may
That would be
follow
a
us.
foolish maneuver at best. Again, remember,
Because our ship was kind of special. But maybe they wanted something off the ship.
but that
No,
means
they
that they.
crashed.
Yeah, I know,
But that means that they know something that we don't, and we probably would like to know that. Also, if
Maybe they wanted someone off the ship. Just suggestion.
Where did you come from anyway?
I was in crew quarters. I've been...
In what? Did we crash into another ship?
It wasn't crew quarters, but you can say whatever you want.
Oh, you were on the ship that crashed.
Yeah.
You were on our. Oh, that's right. Because
Did
Did
you
you
have-
sleep through a crash landing?
How did you survive the crash?
Oh, people like him always seem to survive everything.
Yeah, halflings tend to be kind of lucky.
I've been through a lot worse. Don't worry.
So what is your name, new friend?
Bossy.
Humor. I've seen it in the enlisted ranks before. All right. The name is Lieutenant Colonel Bill Starfarmer.
Lieutenant Stuck-Up sounds good though too.
You can
Armed
refer
stars?
to me as Colonel Star Farmer.
That's a
Whatever you
You
think
are
is
Colonel
That's a
appropriate.
Rob.
made-up name.
What are you a colonel of?
I'm a lieutenant colonel of Her Majesty's High Militia.
We are not a member of the militia.
How many stars have you farmed?
Who's Majesty?
It's a family name. It's a very complicated process
It's a
to
made-up
explain the
name.
culture of my people. However, I assure you, I'm a qualified soldier.
That's a 27 culture check. How common of a family name is Star Farmer for space halflings?
It sounds pretty common, actually.
So, it's not like a legitimately new name, like, for instance, a new family that found themselves confused after the gap or perhaps lost their name would invent in this new age of exploration. And it also doesn't really sound like an old name either. It sounds like possibly some ancestor somewhere along the lines had an old name and wanted it to sound cooler.
Cool.
That makes sense.
So,
You went from Earth Farmer to Star Farmer.
all right. Assuming that we want to go deal with pirates, however would they may be, how many guns do we have amongst us? I'd say indicating my hand cannon.
I've got the smallest little handgun you could possibly see, but I indicate that.
Now she reaches over her shoulder and pulls her laser rifle. I mean, Toasty's got a pretty solid burn setting, so...
Busy, all four hands each have
Each have a
each
gun.
have a different gun in them.
And
There are prescribed procedures before we can initiate hostile action against piracy.
Absolutely.
However,
And
I'm confident that I can research them. I pull up my pad and I use
Oh,
my
brother.
I do a profession
In my
paperwork check
personal opinion,
to find the appropriate
space
regulations.
pirates, especially
They
undead
do.
ones, have a knack for wanting to survive. If they've crash landed in their fewer numbers, they are more likely to work with us to try to figure out, and if not, we can
21.
exterminate them. Let's.
You can also offer him up as a sacrifice, I'm just saying.
They are
Let's-
just as likely to kill us because we're the supposed reason why they fell.
So
let's
why
be
they crashed.
frank.
However,
There are all of us on the ship. I'm assuming that all of you have seen some things because none of you flinched for a second when the captain of this vessel's head was replaced by a toaster.
Sometimes that happens.
yes.
There was no mourning, so I can only imagine that all of us have at least seen death, if not caused it.
So, a 21 on
I
your
just point to my scarred face.
bureaucracy check. It can vary depending on the specific jurisdictions that you end up in. In this case, because of the fact that it took place in Castrovellian orbit, it would be dictated by their laws.
So you'd have to ask the Castrovellian.
You're not entirely sure, but standard, the typical standard would end up being that you would want to inform some whatever local governing body there is before doing any kind of vigilante action if you are safe in the moment.
All right. Our first step, we need to contact the Castrovellian authorities.
There's no airwaves,
Yeah, you can try that. You won't be able to reach anybody.
no signals for any devices.
Also, I'm the closest thing you've got to a Castrovellian authority.
We need to contact the Castrovellian authorities.
I think we need to go find these space pirates, figure out why their ship fell down, maybe get some information out of them if they want to talk, toast them if they don't want
Yeah,
to.
at the very least, it's more cover.
That
sounds
Their heads
fun.
into
Hi,
the-
I'm a member of
Yeah.
Starfinder Society. I'm an actual group that actually does adventuring and military work, so let's go.
You're a glorified entertainment streamer,
I'm still a member of the Starfinder
which isn't
Society.
a bad thing, to be fair.
I'm still a member of the Starfinder Society. So.
All right, let's go before the mold comes.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
You gotta move.
Oh, also, their ship is much more likely to provide a safe haven from the mold if they've got hull shielding.
That's just what I said.
Let's
yes.
move. Okay.
All right.
Oh, yeah, we'll do that. What the heck?
Heading south to find a pirate ship
Cool.
instead of north to find a river.
Everybody go ahead and roll me some survival checks
Uh-oh.
to see if you are
What is that?
horribly poisoned or mangled
I
or
know.
eaten
No,
by
I
enemy
mean, I
plants.
Yeah.
have one.
20.
I have a racial bonus to survival, which is the only reason I've got a bonus.
21.
Natural 20.
16.
17.
12.
25.
Uh-oh. We might have to pick her up.
Him.
That will be
He's riding a robot. It's fine.
Him
The
on my
lot of
trusty
you are
steed.
actually pretty well able to navigate through the jungle. Those of you who rolled thoroughly above 20s, you're able to navigate away from any particularly nasty beast dens that seem like they may present themselves, get away from the territory of any monsters here.
Okay.
And you all don't get horribly lost. So that's a bonus as well. So, you travel along.
I forgot. As we leave the ship, I give a twirl, and my clothes reconfigure from the elaborate red and gold, stylish wear into a much more comfortable red and white traveling outfit.
Okay.
I still look like I'm wearing beat-up space gear.
Just clarifying, style is important.
Yes, well.
Alrighty then.
Also, practicality gives me bonuses on enduring a variety of environmental problems.
So, you head south, and going along sort of the mountain range.
Do I know if there'll be any clear indicators of when a mold storm is coming? Like if we'll have enough time to set up tents, or if it'll be like instant.
You kind of have to just sort of see it on the horizon.
And
Usually speaking, you won't get more than an hour of notice. Like, if you ever want to sleep for the night, you really want to make sure that any of it catch you off guard in the night.
I'm just thinking of, like, as we're moving, we don't want to be caught off guard either.
Yeah. So, you're continuing along. You actually make some pretty good time because you didn't have any real catch-ups in the jungle. The sun is decent. The sun is going through setting when you can see the ship sort of on another hill.
So still a bit of a distance.
Yeah, so you can travel for another hour or two to get to the ship.
So
Or you can try to wait here.
we can keep going for a couple hours and get to the ship, or we can bunk up here for the night so that we don't get caught in any mold storms.
And also, everyone can make me some spot checks.
And also I can do that.
Perception, I assume you mean?
Yes.
22.
20.
24.
21.
21.
21.
16.
That's a lot of 20s. Okay.
Yeah.
So, a lot of you, except for our Skittermander friend, I'm sorry.
I'm not rolling well right now.
You
matter,
can
we'll take
also
care of it.
see that the ground, about like a mile past the ship, is bulging sort of unnaturally. You would know, and you would know, some others of you might know as well, but that's usually indicative of a Formian colony. So it could be that.
Life sciences to know about Formians.
Go ahead.
And DC is decreased by 5 because I'm a Xenoseeker, and that's a natural 20, 28.
I'm also doing that just because I'm native, so...
So, Formians are natives of Castrovel. They're one of the 3 major races here.
18.
Yeah. You get most of this information as well. But it's perhaps a little odd to see them on this continent specifically, because this continent is the one that the elves mostly populate, and typically speaking, they don't like having outsiders. So it's probably a pretty isolated settlement, and by the looks of it, it's a medium small one.
So the ship hitting near it, would that disrupt their...
You have absolutely no doubt that they noticed it. You don't think it would have disrupted anything. By the looks of it, the ship seems to have landed pretty alright. It's mostly intact. There wasn't a good landing space with all the trees, but you're pretty sure all the damage was probably done to the hull.
Would the Formians want to attack the ship? What would the traditional Formian response to this sort of thing be?
Formians are lawful neutral. They are very much focused on order and
we know a
keeping
ship
things
landed.
efficient.
Until it bothers us, we have no reason to bother it.
looks like it
Unless we're
landed.
scavenging it for...
It landed past their... It landed on their colony or next
It
to
was
their colony?
it was next to it.
Okay.
Not a very big distance though.
We need to establish contact with the local authorities so we can get the warrant to
Would
attack
you-
the pirates.
Would you shut up for a minute, please?
I head towards the colony.
Okay.
So
This is the Formians aren't in charge here.
also, if you keep going and night falls, you're gonna get caught in a mold storm. It's gonna eat away all your
There's a
flesh.
Formian bulge.
A what?
A Formian ant. They're ant people. There's an anthill.
It seems like we'd want to be indoors at that point.
Yeah.
There's that ship right there.
There's a colony right there.
That's farther.
Yeah,
And we don't like them as much.
Formians aren't
Well.
like a Formian colony isn't exactly the best place for non-Formians.
They do have a bit of a reputation. Well, on your cultural roll, Formians, they don't really like having people around them and living with them because they tend to see self-expression as disobedience and suboptimal.
They're gonna hate me then.
Typically speaking, they're not going to care. They're not going to attack visitors. They'll just be like, "What's up? What are you doing here?"
Escaping a mold storm.
They would be. They would at the very least be willing to hear out your pleas for wanting to escape a mold storm.
Look, I think we should get to the ship. It's going to give us pretty decent protection against the mold storm as well. It'll get us the information we need, and spending the night there will let us research all of the machinery they have.
I'm assuming we're not spending most of that night in a firefight, but yes.
Well, we'll see what happens.
Is this? I'm sorry.
The
Firefight
space pirate
won't take
ship.
long.
The space pirates who shot us down.
Yes.
It
They
won't-
seem
it won't-
friendly.
Yeah, they're fine.
No, however many of them are still around.
Yeah. Probably more of them than you think.
How big is this ship?
The ship doesn't look like it took much damage in the crash.
It's a little bit smaller than the
Yes.
ship that you came off of, so it'd probably be.
Would there
It
be-
wouldn't have had more than a crew of 6. I'm guessing.
Piece of cake.
Probably a lot smaller.
There's probably fewer of them than there are of us.
Especially now that that guy showed up.
Can you handle yourself in a fight, bossy?
Do you have any weapons?
I'm certified as a level 5 soldier, capable of using sophisticated techniques
Those words
to
don't mean
submit the enemy
That's okay.
to our.
Show me your weapons.
So
Let's
how
put
good
him
of a
out front.
shield is he gonna make?
I draw my Corona pistol. I think I've got the virus fixed on this thing.
I like the idea that my hand cannon is the size of our halfling friend.
Your pistol deals 1 extra poison damage.
I want to ask you that. I want to ask because he has the same level of pistol as I have of my rifle. Both the laser rifles are Corona. Does that apply to my rifle?
You didn't make the bad joke.
He made the joke first.
That was amazing.
I'm sorry.
Hey, William, look, they have space marines.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. The nicest Solarian. Cool.
And that's
All right.
glaring.
So, we want to initiate peace. We want to try to talk to them
talk
first
to
if
them
we
first.
can. However, I believe that what's going to be best is that for a couple of us to
Okay.
approach forward,
Yes.
and for a couple to take a good ambush position in case things turn south. I will gladly approach.
I will
speak.
go in too because my little pop gun here doesn't do as much as I can do hand to hand. So I
Besides-
have to be in the middle of it. if I'm
Besides,
gonna get
who doesn't
into
like a pretty boy?
it. Yes,
I-
exactly.
I reach up.
Says the
and
rat.
I show all my teeth.
I reach up and grab the little mote of darkness hovering behind my head, and just sort of grab and pull, and my fairly crappy-looking armor gets reinforced with like black armor plates all over that sort of reduce the amount of light around me.
You have become a black hole.
I have become
you are
kind
black
of,
hole.
I pull out.
and I am going to begin. When they go off, I'll start stealthing.
I pull out a pistol and shove it in my mouth, and then I pull out 3 grenades and shove them in my other cheek.
Cheek pouch.
Ouch.
It's a racial ability of the Asoki, and it's the
that-
best one ever.
That
I'm
never.
an anthropomorphic rat.
That never ceases to bother me.
It's funny though because
It's
once they're in there,
perfect
you
for a
can't
breath
see them.
weapon.
Yeah.
Now it's kind of puts the rifle, which again.
I
Has
want a Yosoki that fires the gun from inside their mouth. Like uses their tongue to pull the trigger. Just-
So the thing about a cheek pouch is not in your mouth. It is a pouch between your lips and your actual cheek.
Then a cybernetic augment that turns your face into dual-mounted turrets.
Oh, cool.
Shooting.
Let's do that.
But yeah, it's Notchka like puts the laser rifle is branded with Toasty on the side of it. She puts the laser rifle away, just pulls out the tactical pistol on her hip and just checks it real quick, and you can see that the pistol just has bang bang on the side of the pistol.
So who's
I go through all
approaching
the
and who's
operating-
stealthing?
Stealthing.
Approaching.
I'm approaching.
Approaching.
Oh, I was
Just
going
a
okay.
stealth.
I am decidedly not stealthy in heavy armor.
I'm not stealthy either. I don't care.
And I'm not wearing-
I
I'm not very stealthy.
follow the established checklist to ensure the state of my armor and weapons are all to
In the
spec.
meantime, we're already up there.
I actually go faster than you people, so I can catch up.
It's all
Okay.
calibrated and ready to go.
All right.
Do you?
Yes, I have the feet fleet, so I have a base speed of 40.
You have fleet. You have the feet for fleet
Oh,
feet.
okay. So we are in the in like a
Jungle
forest,
area.
Jungle area.
Jungle
So
specifically.
I could actually stealth through here if I wanted to, but I don't want to. I'm just gonna walk out. It's more fun.
My armor helps me stealth.
So anyone who's stealthing can
I
go
can-
ahead and roll some stealth.
I'm just gonna walk
So natural 20 makes that a 32.
Nice.
Yeah,
You're stealthier than I am.
a little bit.
I get to
Only
add,
slightly.
I get to add a d6 to my stealth rolls.
Yes, so do I.
Oh, from
Yeah, Solarian.
your armor.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Solarian.
Solarian skills.
Skill.
Nice.
Yeah,
and it's
I've got-
nighttime, which definitely helps you.
Yep.
I have dark vision.
21.
I also
for
got
stealth.
Cool. So the two of you are hiding. You all approach the ship.
Okay.
So you get to this little clearing that the ship has made. Some felled trees. The whole thing is still kind of sitting a little unbalanced on the stumps of some trees that it wasn't quite able to crush. So, you go ahead and approach the ship.
Would the guns be fireable at us, like the ship guns?
Which way? Yeah.
You
which
took
way
out
they're
one of
facing.
the arcs of them.
So I'm going to approach from an angle that there is not a gun from the ship.
You go ahead
Yeah, I
and
can do
approach
that.
from the left side of this ship, from the
Because-
starboard
yeah.
side.
This is smart.
the side whose gun we took out.
Guns, plural, but yes.
Yeah.
I approach the ship.
Yeah, as I approach, I'm just gonna have my hands real close to my head. For some reason.
That means something much different for a Solarian, but okay.
Yeah.
They can see the moat, you know?
No, well, I mean, it's in my helmet now. It's one of those,
It hovers around
whatever.
their
I
head.
don't care. I don't care. It's just, it looks like
I'm going to approach, but I'm going to stay
behind.
back from the group about 60 feet or so.
Mhm.
I'm front and center. Greetings, fellow Crashlanders.
There's no response that you can see.
Notch.
Is there a door to knock on?
Is there like, yeah,
Um,
a portal opening, whatever?
So it looks like on the front of the ship, there's a sort of landing hatch that pulls down. You kind of have to open that from inside the ship, though.
I'm gonna go up to it and knock on it.
Start beating on it a little bit.
Dong, dong, dong. Nothing.
I sit there cross-legged, waiting patiently.
I'd look to see if there's any tracks or anything around the ship. See if anybody got
Can
out
I
and ran
use
around.
Roll survival.
I want to use an engineering
Yes.
knowledge to see if I
21.
can figure out how to what entrances there are likely to the ship from its design.
Roll it.
21.
21.
22 on the engineering.
Do I happen to know this ship in particular, being a starship designer?
It's a... You can recognize it. It's been pretty heavily modified. This is normally a pretty small freighter sort of transport vessel, but it's been heavily modified with all of these guns. The shape of it is also a little dissimilar to what it normally is.
Do I know that these kinds of ships have any particular like emergency hatches for the purposes of crash landings, or?
You can go ahead and roll for that, Starship Designer or Engineering. So, you do find
27.
Around the area where the hatch would pull down, there is a the breaking on some of the branches here would indicate that the hatch was pulled down at one point. And looking around, you see a spot of mud where it looks like there were some footsteps that walked away from the ship.
East, west.
It looks like they walked towards that mound.
Oh,
They're heading to the memorials.
that's interesting.
Engineering check to determine how to get this hatch open.
I just did
so the
that.
two of you,
Well, I thought you were
Oh,
looking
yeah,
for
right.
where the entrance would be, but
the two of you, you both know this ship would have some other hatches. They would mostly be on the top because they're placed on the top so that it's easy enough to get there if you have the infrastructure for it, but it's harder to get there if you're just parked in the middle of a field and someone wants to get in your ship.
Nausicaa kind of looks up for a second,
Like,
presses a button on her arm, activates the jump jets on her armor, and will jump up there.
there you go.
What do the jump jets specifically say?
I
Do they
believe
give you a bonus to your
they
jump
give-
check?
no,
they
they give
specify
you a
height.
fly speed, but you have to land.
They give you a 30-foot fly speed, but you have to land the game for 30 feet.
Yeah, is it 30?
So, with your 30 feet, you can position yourself and...
If I need to jump from infrastructure to infrastructure, I can just hop my way up, basically.
Yeah, you get on top of a sort of lower, almost decorative-looking bit, and then, yeah, you can get on top pretty
I
easy.
also
It's about
jump
like 40
jets.
feet
They're
tall.
No, good.
I was 88th percentile in my class on athletic challenges. I say.
That's
and
the
I-
bottom percentile, isn't it?
88%.
No, you clearly don't understand how percentiles work. Fortunately,
I'm
I
also
have a
making-
training guide
I'm
I
also-
can share
I'm
with
also
you.
making fun of you. And she goes to go and find.
Roll athletics.
She goes to go and find the emergency hatch.
And you rolled what for engineering?
I had rolled a 22 on it. Oh,
No,
sorry.
Austin.
I only rolled an 11 on my athletics somehow.
Not a
Oh,
lot.
sorry, 13. My bad. I forgot it was a half.
20 though, because I have a stupid modifier.
These things really aren't designed to be open from the outside.
Okay.
You think it would be easier to get the hatches open that are on the top because, but
Sure, I whip out my grapple gun.
cool. What'd you roll?
13.
Thankfully, you are trying to climb a spaceship that is less than thoroughly aerodynamic, and it's covered in all sorts of trees that have fallen over on it. It's not a difficult climb, but you have a rough time on it. You
So-
almost slip a few times.
From ambush positions of stealth, just keeping an eye out to see if they are actually alone or if there are people like waiting just out of sight.
Perception.
First observation.
And I will try and make my way to one of those emergency hatches on the roof to try and open it up.
That's going to be a 23.
23. You see nothing.
Keeping an eye out.
I believe the jump jets use a charge every round that you use.
Um,
One charge, I think.
Yeah.
They don't
So,
charge.
the access panel on this, it requires a authorization code for you to be able to get in.
Well, it's a good thing I'm a mechanic.
Hack it.
Go ahead and roll me some computers to get into this ship.
I don't even have to have an access port because with my AI in my head, I can remote hack.
Seeing the people that are climbing up onto the ship, I'm
27.
going to,
No, 29. Sorry.
I'm going to telepathically shoot a message over to our new halfling friend.
How far are you from this ship? Because you have like a 30-foot
Yeah, I'm
telepathy.
I don't know how far am I. I just snuck up.
So-
in a stealth position.
You will have to approach a little bit, but you can still stay in stealth, hiding behind trees
Cool.
sufficiently.
So you just get a message in your brain that says, "Aye, Lieutenant Colonel, keep an eye out for pirates hiding when you get up there."
I think really hard. Noted.
Do you have the ability to read minds, or do you?
Yeah, no,
just
they
send?
can respond.
Okay, good.
It's a voluntary thing to respond.
Yeah.
So you just get noted.
Gotcha.
As
It's
soon
not
as
that
I
hard.
as soon as I get up to the top, I do a search for pirates.
You can roll some perception.
I'm gonna walk around the base of the ship, just looking for more tracks.
Um,
et cetera.
another telepathic message to
That you were kind of had to
Skank.
look for a little bit to
What is it?
find those tracks.
Shank.
Shank. Another telepathic message to Shank saying, it doesn't seem like there are any nearby, but I'm keeping an eye out.
So 29?
Right.
29 to hack.
Okay, so you look at this thing for a little bit, figure out, oh, got some outdated architecture there, and you're in.
Right.
It pops open with a little hiss.
Excellent projection of force through the cyber domain. Okay. Commendations on your skills. We can all use our skills together to defeat this enemy. Now, I have heard through
My
clandestine
response to
means
his
that there may be
message is,
enemies on the
keep-
top of this vessel. We need to keep alert
keep,
at all times.
half-wit occupied.
Right. Najka pulls Toasty off of her back, kind of toes the latch open, aims down to make sure there's nothing immediately beneath. And if there's not, you're going to drop in.
All
My
right,
response to your
you
message is
are inside the
to say
ship.
to keep
You are on top of the
half-wit,
ship. You want to go ahead and
occupied.
follow after down the
Already
hatch?
done.
Yeah.
I will drop down. Is it pitch black in here or not?
This thing, it's pretty darn dark. Yeah.
I have dark vision, so
So do I.
All right. So
I've also
who's
got
going down
flashlights
the
if I
hatch?
need to.
I'm going down hatch.
So you first, then you, then.
He's
Are you going down or are you waiting?
I will go down last.
All right, cool. So the three of you get into what looks like a just a simple hallway in the ship. It's dark, so it's hard to make out a ton of details with your dark vision, but
I turn on the flashlight on my pad.
cool. Yeah. So, generally speaking, it's, fairly dark colors. The thing looks like it hasn't had any aesthetic maintenance in a good while. A very good while. But everything seems to be very functional. You notice that all the panels where there are maintenance hatches or whatnot are way newer looking and better maintained than anything that would be just a panel on a wall.
Yeah. Najka looks
You'll
around
notice
first thing.
here the typical operation of the criminal mind. No attention to aesthetics. No concern about how they present themselves to others. Slobs, all of them. Not good
So
soldiers.
next week
We're
when he's not
facing
here, do we just
amateurs.
put a gun in his mouth and fire?
Najka turns on the flashlights that are on the chest plate of her armor, and she starts to level the rifle. And she still has the video recording up, and you begin to realize that she's a strong commentator, but most of her actual recording action sequence is fairly clean cut.
And also, Grace, because you were the person that saw the transmission from their ship. There's life support systems in this hallway. The crew weren't entirely undead.
Alright, so we're dealing with a mix of undead and living.
Wait, undead? I seem to remember some rules on that. I can tell my pad quickly. There's an ongoing ban against all undead activity.
Grace.
That's not completely true because the Borai are still a thing, and they are allowed to be people.
So, in your system, that may be true, but in this system, there has been much lobbying from Eox, the planet full of people who are dead.
It basically necromancy rules vary planet to planet, but yeah.
Undead are people too, says the undead person at the table.
I shake my head disapprovingly.
You should visit my homeworld for a while. It'll really lighten you up about what you think of the undead. They're downright jolly people compared to the natives of my planet.
I roll a culture check. What's his planet like? My culture is 28.
It's a planet full of cults and horrible, horrible things. It's in very
your home
stiff
planet?
competition for the worst planet in the system to live
It
on.
may or may not be a sleeping Cthulhu-like entity. The air is toxic, and there's a liquid of the planet that drives you insane, and the native species of the planet have giant mosquito-like proboscis that they delve into the dirt, suck it up into them, like a sort of high-inducing drug, and they can spit it at people to turn them into maniac cultists.
I've been to your world before, in counter-terrorism training. Well, a simulation of your world, really. But
Yeah.
I'm quite familiar with the difficulties and
On EOX,
challenges.
everyone's just
I
dead.
will say,
It's easier.
we fully respect all civilian life, and we want the best for all peoples. But we also want to ensure law and
As you're
order
moving
and
down this
democracy
hallway.
have a
Keep going,
place
this hallway.
in this galaxy.
You're having trouble recording with all the sound effects.
Firen's editing it out.
Oh, okay.
As you're going down this hallway, you see there's a bit. There's
I do like the fact that you're like the conceit of a live streamer as a Starfinder.
Yeah.
Great.
there's a series of
Like,
closed
with an
doors. You
adventure
go
doing
down
high
this
tech
hallway.
society, they stream.
Yeah.
There is one door on one end of the. There's two doors on one end of the hallway. One that properly ends it off, and the other that is to the side on the left specifically. And then on the other side of this hallway, there are two doors that are on the right, and then a door on the.
Just a streaming company of adventures.
Hey, Toasty, where's the bridge?
Do I have access to the... Actually, yeah. Would I know where the bridge would be at on this model?
Yes, you are pretty sure that it is, since it's such a standard thing, down the hallway, the door on the left.
Probably dead ahead on the left.
Does it seem on the outside, keeping an eye on the weather?
Keeping an eye on the weather, it doesn't look like anything's progressing right now.
Cool. Just don't want us to get caught unawares.
Yeah.
There's just still outside.
Look at the door. Is it sealed?
It looks like it is.
Try to open it.
Go ahead and I'm guessing you want to like try to hack into this thing. You can. There's a little computer panel to the side of it that's still active.
Oh, I'll try to open it with the computer panel.
While she's opening the door, Noshka will just keep the gun aimed at the door.
Go ahead and roll Peters.
I will also cover the door with rate of fire.
29.
You find a simple little system. There you go. You've disabled the door locks for everything.
All right, and all doors are unlocked. Password: breathing is for losers. I feel like there might be some internal struggle between the hierarchy in this ship. And open.
I think this is turning very rapidly into an Aliens movie.
So you open it up, and it looks indeed like the bridge of the ship. It looks like there's only 2 stations that still get used. It looks like there used to be room for like 4 individuals, but
Let me guess. A weapon station and the helm.
Navigation.
it's sort of a weapons station combined with a pilot station and then the helm of it.
All right, I'm gonna go see if I can. I'm gonna go pull up.
Also, roll me spot or perception. You specific.
17.
17? Okay. So, you were... What were you looking at again?
There's no one here, right? No traces of bodies or anything, or signs of.
Doesn't look... No specific signs of conflict, even, it looks like. Everything's a little jumbled up from what must have been a bit of a rough landing. But,
Is there still a science station at all? Just not typically used.
Air your breathing capacity.
I'm going to presume that any of that will be projected through
it's
the weapons station.
it's actually sort of more on the helm. You kind of have to scoot the chair over to the side a little bit to get to that, but yeah.
I'm going to see if I can pull up damage logs.
I'm going to do a search on the manifest and the history of refueling, resupplying, any like record keeping, and see if I can find any abnormalities using my bureaucracy to check for an audit.
Roll computers.
The computer's working.
If he manages to get in, you can share his roll.
Okay.
Oh, that was awful.
Not
14.
Not a natural 1, but a 2.
Roll computers. You can also roll computers.
Yeah,
if you
here,
want
let
to
me
use
take.
I don't have a computer.
Yeah, let me take a
and I
crack.
can't use it untrained.
Let me take a crack at this. This is it's older computer archaeology. I should be.
They also put a real password on this one.
It's swordfish. It's always swordfish. 29. No, 30. Sorry.
Actually, it's being dead is for chumps, but so
But with letters instead of sorry, with numbers.
With
instead
some
of
no-
letters,
yeah.
Some numbers and symbols thrown in there.
It's B31 in G, D3 @ D
so
15.
you go ahead and get into the system here. You were looking for a damage log,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, with the log, basically the whole log of the fight, and up till they landed.
I'm auditing their logistics and finance.
that's gonna take you a little bit of time here. You can go ahead and roll that though.
I'm gonna check a general diagnostic and see what kind of condition the ship is currently in.
So the ship
13.
So, you look at the damage log here, and as you're going through the science station specifically, it looks like the log, the shields took a severe amount of damage on the port side when they were mostly directed towards the front. And then, looking through it a little bit more, you see that the navigation systems failed shortly after the shields got hit.
Navigation systems failed.
Yes, it looks like the navigation system was spitting a whole bunch of garbage numbers. They tried to reset it, but it looks like that did nothing.
So it looks like a software problem, not a hardware problem.
It's hard to tell the two apart sometimes. It was spitting massive amounts of garbage numbers.
Toasty, can you help me sort through this? I say as I show the log of what the this thing was spitting out.
Fire and get me an analysis on that thing, will you?
If you want to look at it specifically, you're gonna have to roll a computers to see if you can diagnose the problem.
Figured.
with it.
That's why I got
Yeah.
2 checks instead of 1. There we go.
30 again.
31.
On a 31,
Skill monkey.
Yeah,
Well, skill rat.
that's literally what envoys do.
Yeah, no.
it
They're like rogues, but without the backstab.
it doesn't
They're like bards.
look like there's anything
Without magic.
wrong with the software of this thing, and you can actually pull it up right now and it's working. You're not actually getting any kind of readings
So
off
I
of it right now.
can't replicate the error though.
No, you would have to guess it was a hardware problem.
Is there any sort of video monitoring into the engineer bay?
Video monitoring in the engineering bay? Yeah, you can look at that.
What does the current ship diagnostic look like?
Ship diagnostic. This thing is... It should theoretically be flyable.
But we probably have to fix whatever the navigation issue is.
Yeah, because with it spitting those kinds of garbage numbers. Also, looking at as you were doing a bit of a deep dive of it, it looks like the autopilot kept engaging and then being closed and then engaging and then kept being closed, and it kept working with those garbage numbers.
So I want to compare the weird data that was being sent from our ship that I've got and the weird numbers that were being sent from the ship and see if it's possible that the two of them were linked.
Weird numbers from what?
Our ship was sending out... It was supposed to be sending out a distress signal.
And didn't send anything.
And didn't send anything out. Was it possibly sending any sort of strange, garbled... I want to see if there was potentially... Because I'm actually going to pull that up for Toasty. Here, look at this. See how it says we sent a distress signal from the Stinger?
But there wasn't any signal sent out.
There was no signal sent out. I want to see, was this a cover and it was sending out a sub-signal to this ship disrupting the navigation system?
That'd be a heck of a weapon, but I don't think... Captain Toaster Brain doesn't seem like the kind of person you would know.
No, he doesn't, but I pull up the video of the Sheeran falling asleep at the helm. Psychic influence, somebody with strong telepathy.
Let's take a look.
Wasn't me.
I
don't have
am
that strong
so
opinion.
disappointed in these record keepers.
So
They need a real logistics consultant here.
yeah,
Are you
the
a paper
records
pusher?
are they're
Yes.
this thing would not pass muster for any kind of inspection. It looks like the refuel and the maintenance logs are actually pretty well kept. Like, all of the, engineering, basic run-of-the-ship stuff works. But it doesn't seem like there's records for acquiring some critical things, such as, food or basic supplies. It doesn't look like there's anything that would indicate a record of that. Also, this thing has been flying to some weird systems that don't really make a whole lot of sense to be flying to.
Can I use like a knowledge culture about those worlds that it's gone to?
You can go ahead and use culture if you want to, yeah.
19.
It looks, judging by it, it seems like it's some kind of combination of worlds that are known for good sightseeing and worlds with thriving black markets for weapons.
Well, that makes sense.
A brief
These
look
people
around
may
this.
be participating in illicit activities.
They're space pirates, Bossy. Could you build a crew manifest while you're looking through records?
Sure. Can I do a paperwork check for that?
Sure.
Did they keep... Wow.
How do I roll a 13?
I mean,
It shouldn't be that hidden of information, hopefully.
it's not difficult to look through. It seems like there's only 2 people on this ship. There's one that is simply listed as Jet, and one that's listed as Bones.
There are only 2 crew members on this ship. One is undead, one is dead. They have dueling passwords.
Perfect.
One's alive.
Or one is undead, one's
So
alive.
they'll think of setups for 2
So
people
this
to
whole
operate the whole thing.
So I've got a question.
It is set up for 2 people, because there's only the
Actually-
helmet and the weapon systems.
Useful information from a bureaucrat. Space pirates. I need to know some tactics about space pirates. 2 people on the ship. They attack a ship. How do 2 people intend to take out the crew of any reasonable freighter?
I'm going to consult my tactics guide on space piracy on my pad.
Gas.
Do I have to roll a...
I guess you can roll. What's the roll specifically for mercenaries for their background that they get?
Warfare. It's like it's.
What role is it
Well,
specifically?
it's
Hang on. It's
profession mercenary, right?
profession mercenary or culture. Any culture or professional role specifically for warfare-related things.
I would argue that since your bureaucracy is related to being a soldier, you can go ahead and roll your bureaucracy here.
You're a military bureaucrat.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, but that's our background. Though. I don't know what his background.
Oh,
is.
finally,
Yeah,
26.
26.
I picked themeless and then went but bureaucrat.
So, judging by the having a small crew like this would either rely on having some kind of bluff and relying on people surrendering to a much better armed ship, and then just kind of taking the supplies before they realize that they've been duped by a smaller crew. It could be that the individuals are extremely dangerous. Undead can be a wide range of things. Like, if this was a lich, then you wouldn't really have a whole lot of issues dealing with the guards of a simple ship. Or alternatively, they could be less focused on raiding, that the weapons are just there to ward off anyone who would want to attack them, and possibly as a symbol of status, and then that they do mostly weapons dealing, which is also a possibility.
Unfortunately, that information is for official use only. However, rest assured that I understand the situation and will take appropriate actions. You'll simply have to follow my lead.
So, I would just like to clarify that as a ranking official of the ship that you were on when it crash landed, I would still technically be a licensed official that you would have to report information to. Until we are entering a new area of colonization, I am still your superior. As you were aboard the ship that I was on the crew of.
Bluff bureaucracy.
I feel like
Bluff opposed by bureaucracy. Go for
Would
it.
it be diplomacy or bureaucracy?
Bureaucracy.
All right.
Oh, good.
Alright, I choose not to re-roll that.
I get a 27.
I get a 33.
Yes.
Everything that he's saying is correct. By the books, you would have to at least give the relevant information of the situation to him. Her. It's hard to tell with Yosoki.
It is actually really hard to tell what gender in a Yosoki is.
All right. Suppose that's within procedure. Looks like there's a couple of possibilities. Either these people are arms smugglers and they're not interested in taking over freighters, or the undead might be incredibly powerful. Think of something like a lich or another powerful entity that can destroy multiple people without the need for consulting with underlings. Or, I checked my notes again. There's some other possibilities as well, but I won't get into them. I think we're dealing with something dangerous here. Fortunately, I'm trained for that situation, I say, drawing my...
Toasty, what's the value of this ship, and how likely would something as incredibly magically powerful as a lich be to owning something like a modified junk freighter?
I mean, yeah, it's an up-jumped freighter, but it's nothing like fancy or expensive. Like
I mean, the level of modification of this thing actually makes it pretty decent.
Yeah, like it's a scrap ship that someone took a fancy to and modified, but it's not like.
Can I roll culture for liches?
Sure.
Do they have culture?
27. Oh yeah, liches have
Yeah,
culture.
yeah, they're from Enix.
Some undead can have a certain sort of fascination with their living lives. If this was a ship that the individual had in life, there's a possibility that he would just keep an attachment to it.
Interesting.
So there's a possibility, but
What would I estimate the fair market value of this ship is after all of its modifications?
the
Price a ship on the fly. Come on, you can do it. That's the test. That's the test of any GM.
Yeah, especially on a system you learned a month ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I don't even know how to evaluate the market value of any particular ship.
Relative to...
Relative to other ships,
Just
this
all
is
these
probably, with all the modifications, something along the lines of like a
low-end luxury cruiser at this point, basically.
something along the lines of a tier 6 or 7 ship.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not balanced like a tier 6 or 7 ship because massively min-maxed basically, but
Yeah.
something along those lines.
So it's better than like your like tradesman's first ship, but it's nothing to like threaten the military with or anything.
The crew roster, who was it you said?
2 people?
Jex and Bone. Jet
Jet.
and Bones.
Jet and Bone.
Yes.
Oh,
So I'm
Bones is
guessing
the dead
Bones
man,
was the
I'm
man I spoke with on the intercom.
Actually, pulling that up, based on what he looked like, did he look like he would be a lich, or is that something you can tell?
So are you looking specifically at the video record?
Yeah.
Make a spot check. Or a perception check.
From the outside.
I'm going to pull up the video record. I'm actually going to pull up on their screen so that we can
Can
all
I
see
reach?
it.
Go for it.
Can I reach anybody on the inside?
So
from the
everyone make
outside?
perception.
I don't-
Everyone in the...
Everybody
in
in
the
the cockpit.
yeah.
I don't think our comms were working.
18.
That's why I'm the one reaching out.
You can telepathically communicate with any
Yeah.
of them,
Am I within range of any of them?
Sure.
24.
If you question the ship,
I'm
yeah.
just going to telepathically reach out for an update from the closest one.
By virtue of him being... You reach our orcish friend.
Update on the inside.
No sign of enemy crew yet. Looks like there was only 2 of them, but we haven't seen any sign of them yet.
We'll go ahead and come in then and help secure the ship. And I'll pass that out to the other people that are outside, again, telepathically.
Cool.
Looks like the ship's empty and we should go inside.
Can you have telepathy with a robot? Is that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Anything on
He's-
mind?
He's
Oh,
not
androids.
fully-
Okay,
Specifically.
Androids
okay.
are counted as both humanoids
okay.
and constructs.
Yes.
Even like the fully construct robots that are in the pack world, I can still talk to telepathically as long as they have a brain.
They're,
Just curious.
think, almost more like cyborg.
Like any of the things from Avalon, because they are special.
Yeah, like unless it specifically has a rule that says I can't talk to it, I can talk to it if it has a
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
We're gonna climb up or go in through the hatch.
a lot of you are joining with them.
Yeah.
Sure, you can either crawl through the hatch or if someone can open the bay door.
I'll jump jet up
Cool.
and then come down and open the back door.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Alright.
make a duty roster, so everyone has like assignments of what they should do on the ship.
Let him.
Have fun.
I hope it takes forever.
So a lot of you, all of you are now inside the cockpit. What was everybody's
well,
the perception rolls?
24.
15.
I don't think we're all going into
18.
the cockpit. It's just we're getting inside the
just
ship
getting
so that
inside
when
the
the
ship.
mold storm hits,
You
we're
notice
outside.
as this picture goes up, whatever you notice immediately. You sort of look at the picture, then sort of move to the other side of the room and look at where it was taken from. The backgrounds don't match up. Like it looks like it was still from inside the ship, but the interior of this, as it was displayed in the video feed, is different from how it is right now, and not just because things have been jostled around.
It looks like a different room.
Not a different room, same layout, but there's not as much stuff. There's certain ornamentations on the wall. There's weapons on the wall. There's a few little trophies of war. There's fewer of those.
I'm gonna
than
pull
the video
up
feed.
their video log from their ship of their conversation with us.
They didn't have a conversation with you. They didn't transmit a message. Their first contact with you was you shooting them.
So, this
Nice.
video's out of date.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of video editing me and Byron have done a lot of video editing. There's a lot of background stuff in this shot that isn't on these walls.
All right, here, pull up. You're good with computers, right? I
Yeah.
pull up the log of the video feed we had. See if you can figure out if it was entirely fabricated or
I'm gonna
where
see
the transmission came
when
from.
I'm gonna see when this transmission was initially recorded, if it's still anywhere in this system, in this computer's logs.
You can look through the logs.
Like find the same file name somewhere, maybe.
It's not a difficult search. You look around and it seems like this matches an old log that the ship made from, that was 4 years ago.
I'm gonna do a quick analysis of if there's has there been so supposedly one of these guys was alive. Does this ship keep track of life signs inside of itself?
In what respect?
Like, does it have does it have there is a living creature inside of this ship? Does it have any sort of monitoring on living creatures in it?
Roll computers.
With my computer's a 14, that makes it 20.
Go to the door and find out.
Yeah, once we're inside, at least I think the two of us
Yeah,
at
we're
least
just gonna run around and look.
are checking all the rooms that haven't been checked yet.
Yeah.
Sure. You can go ahead and roll some perception checks for searching.
Before that, while I was walking around, did I see anything else odd about the ship?
Basically, my question is it possible for me to tell how long it's been since something was on this ship? Since there was a person on
Didn't
this
we see
ship.
tracks
Sure.
of them
I
going
saw
to the
tracks
Formian
going away
Mound?
from
Yeah,
it.
sure. You can. Did I have you roll computers already?
Yeah.
What was that?
20.
So looking at it, it looks like the life sign that was on the ship left fairly soon after this thing landed.
Okay.
We're gonna go to the cockpit.
But was it just one life
I think
sign?
I'll go to the cockpit.
One.
And
Well-
would Undead read on that?
You think a Borai might?
But this guy was a skeleton, so probably
But
not.
yeah, no. This guy had no flesh on his face,
Yeah.
so...
So somebody left this ship a
17.
while back, so the ship wasn't just sitting here unmanned, but
24.
this recording was made like 4 years ago.
So, outside the ship real quick. You don't see anything particularly fancy about the outside of the ship. Again, you
Just
see
to
the
see if there
weapons
was any
being
dents in it that
blasted
we didn't
out.
shoot. Was there any other, any more recent denting, like somebody knocked it out of the sky or anything?
This thing flew through a bunch of trees.
Okay.
So yes.
All right.
There's some
Well, I
denting
mean-
on the bottom where it's flown through trees, but
Okay, that's
it's impossible to tell.
and no more other tracks all the way around the ship.
So I think our
It
biggest
looks like the
challenge is going to
tracks
see if
left
we can
pretty
figure out
much.
why
Yeah,
this
just
autopilot
one
is trying
set,
to
three
engage.
sets, what? Just one set of tracks, pretty much.
I think I need to get into the navigation console to try and figure that out.
Hard to tell exactly
Either
on
that,
your roll.
I'm
It's
going
not
to go
hard
into
to tell.
engineering.
A41 is heading up to the cockpit. but you-
Not a large number, but
I'm
So,
trying to
17,
schedule a pilot
21?
evaluation test for everyone, so
24.
I can know who should be like manning the cockpit. So I'm using the navigation console to set up like tests.
I'm gonna need you to move for a second because I gotta see what's going on with this navigation computer.
We need to evaluate the relative priority of our need of this resource.
At the moment, our priority on this is I need to figure out why this ship crashed itself and is trying to turn autopilot on.
I need to figure out how we can staff the ship.
Look,
so we can
Policy,
get it
let's
back.
be frank, it doesn't matter how we can staff the ship if it can't pass a routine inspection. It's more important to make the inspection of the ship before we crew the ship. Trying to crew the ship before we make the inspection would be reckless and a breach of protocol.
You, sir, have the makings of a natural leader. I respect that. I step away from the console.
I will check the navigation console.
so the two of you,
I have the skills to neutralize the halfling.
so the two of you are inspecting these other rooms. You can see. It looks like there are two personal rooms, a simple storage room, and then there's the engineering section. So the storage room is, well, it's got a fair number of weapons in it. They've all been kind of jostled around in the crash.
Anything good?
Huh?
Anything good?
Anything fun?
Nothing. Nothing you can specifically find. It's all stuff that is fairly close to your level, but nothing you can find that's specifically better. So, if any of you want to pick up something that's like tier 3 or 4, but
Weapons.
looking around, there's some simple food and basic living supplies, but not a whole lot of that. There's a bunch of stray mechanical projects lying around, and walking into the engineering room, you see a ton of that. There's all sorts of mad tinkering going on, all sorts of half-finished side projects.
I'm actually heading to the engineering room as he's doing his bit with the navigational console.
We should eat again.
And the two personal rooms, one of them has almost no real amenities to it. You would guess this is where the undead individual was. It has a smaller number of the sort of mechanical projects, but they are there. But they're also more finished. It looks like someone who is experimenting a lot with, like, you know, like self-modification. So there's like an unfinished thing that looks like it would replace one of the arms into a, you know, giant laser cannon.
Necromodder.
Yeah, stuff like that. And the other room is just, it's a mess. It is full of any kind of technological project you can imagine.
No, you said there might be like some tier 3 weapons in that weapons cache.
Yeah.
Cool. I pull out a set of chains from one of the boxes.
What are these?
Burning chains, fiend class.
Yeah, that makes sense to be on here.
They just look like chains until they're powered on.
So they're what? They're Ghost Rider chains, basically.
Basically, yeah.
Cool.
I pull out a set of chains.
You were analyzing...
Okay, I'm having these. I just sort of like wrap them around like bandolier style.
We're basically
Ghost Rider style.
Yeah.
I'm going down to engineering, and he's staying at the computer. So we can I can engineering, and he can
That sounds really
computers on.
The autopilot?
Why the autopilot came on and what was happening with the engines directly.
And I'm looking into the navigation console for the same thing, and also examining that scrap code that was hitting the computer.
So both of you want to roll computers, or one of you can use
I'm
computers and the
engineering.
others can do another?
Well, I'm
engineering and
checking
computers?
the physical engines and like what was happening in the engine room.
And so we'll probably meet up in the engine room when we
So she would roll engineering, I'd roll computers, basically.
Go for it.
As I enter the engineering room with you,
I'm going to try to bring all the panels up to code.
Rest of the ship's pretty much empty. There is a weapons cache on the storage.
All right.
rooms.
I've got some interesting news to tell you.
All right.
First of all, this ship attacked them first due to a false message sent from this ship to ours. Our ship received a phony message from them indicating they wanted to attack. We shot them first.
Weren't you talking to someone though?
Yes, I was talking to a 4-year-old recording of them.
That responded.
There was
was-
the time that you taunted.
No.
Yeah.
There was the time that you taunted. You can look back through that as well because you got the
Yeah,
here's data
hold
logs.
What happened?
Yeah, that's a recording of the new
They shut it down.
Bay. That was an actual recording that you got an actual captain.
I spoke to him personally, but the initial recording that caused the captain our captain to shoot them was phony.
Was it the same person when you talked to them?
Yes, but 4 years ago.
So why would they record
To get us to
Somebody-
shoot them.
Yeah, there was a third party has put
Also,
us on
I show the
message.
video of the Sheeran falling asleep at the panel. I think that there is somebody who has great technological and potentially telepathic ability. Took control of our Sheeran to have the Sheeran display this. Another thing, the system says that we sent out a distress signal when our engines went out to get the aid of Castrovel's defense grid. However, no such signal was sent. I think the Sheeran on board the ship at the science station was telepathically taken over and sent to sabotage the ship, and when done, was put to sleep and died. In the same token, the autopilot for this ship kept trying to activate and spewing, computers, right? I say looking at A41.
Yes.
I pull up the code the computer was printing. It was a software problem that was spewing all this garbage data and trying to activate autopilot to prevent them from steering. Nothing hurt their engines as far as I can tell. I'm going to do a more thorough diagnostic now that we're in the engine room here. But somebody was
1d8
sabotaging
fire.
both of our ships. Somebody with a lot of power.
So
It's 2
you suspect.
trip,
You said it was a
Yeah.
software problem. The garbage data
Yeah,
was it a
Yeah,
software
it's
problem,
level
or at least
1
that
to
you
3,
yeah.
basically.
think.
Yeah.
The autopilot engaging probably
I don't
was.
have anything better
So
than this than what I-
you
My
got-
computer check is a natural 20, which makes it 34.
Nice. So you're looking into this whole autopilot thing, and it looks like there was a very talented person in the helm here that was trying to figure out what was going on with this.
Oh, sorry, 35, because I have my data jack.
Nice. So you're actually able to work off of a lot of the work that specifically it looks like Jet was doing.
Jet was their engineer.
It looks like they managed to actually pinpoint where the hacking of the autopilot came from, because it was a hack. It wasn't a software issue intrinsic to the ship. And it looks like they used a combination of their sensors that in between them spewing garbage data or barely able to make out where it was coming from. It was coming from your ship. Something from the direction of your ship was causing the autopilot to go haywire.
So, does this ship have comms active?
Yeah, you can go ahead and there's a simple intercom system.
Yeah, so I'll calm down to the engineering room. So, someone decided they wanted two ships to shoot each other real bad.
That's what I figured. I rolled a 36 on my engineering check to diagnose the engineering room and anything wrong that went wrong down here.
Could I make a mercenary culture roll? Like culture roll really my mercenary background theme. For any ideas as to organizations or individuals of note that are both powerful psionically and technologically advanced that would be able to do this sort of thing?
Roll for it.
Because, so, while this ship got a phony message from 4 years, sent a phony message from 4 years ago to our ship is the one that sent the scrap code that scrambled navigations.
That's what I figured.
So,
wait, does asterisk mean you can or can't do it untrained?
Asterisk means armor check penalty applies.
Armor check penalty.
Yeah, the cross means trained only. Oh, well, we've got different sheets.
Yeah, no. Hang on. Asterisk means can't be used untrained. So I can't do a culture roll, but I can do a profession roll. So that's going to be a 23.
So first, in the engine room, it doesn't look like anything specifically was wrong with the engine. There's some weird wear and tear on the engines from the fact that the autopilot was trying to fire off the engines weirdly. They're not supposed to be turned on and off that fast.
Actually, full diagnosis of the engine room. Like, how does this place look?
The ship in general?
Yeah. Could we fly this ship right now?
Theoretically. There actually wasn't even, with the sensors, you weren't getting anything from them, though. But you weren't specifically getting the, autopilot issue. Okay. So you could theoretically fly it.
So physically, there's nothing wrong with the ship?
Nope, nothing.
Here, get them.
Do I think
okay,
getting
the hull's a bit
Great
dinged up, and
class.
obviously you've got no weapons on your port side. But
Yes, corrosive damage.
Starboard side.
But if we were able, are there any breaches in the hull?
Ooh, grenades.
None that you
have-
see.
While I was working on
While I'm on the comm unit, hey, just so you know, ship's perfectly flyable, assuming that we can resolve the fact that whatever wants us to.
Yeah, that's what I was about to check.
I think we need to talk to some people.
Yeah.
I buzz in on the comm. Still haven't finished the upgrades on the panels. We're not to standard yet, but I'm working on it.
I think that we need to speak with the original owners of this ship.
Yeah.
And I think they're in the Formian colony.
So,
it may take some putting out of fires to make them not want to fight us.
Well, first I'm going to see if that scrap code's still a problem on his navigation computer.
23.
Well, it was coming
And
from
that was
our computer.
Yeah, but if it was a viral infection, it'd still be active.
And my DC is lowered by 5. for that.
There's plenty of powerful magic users that also happen to be
we already diagnosed it.
They
It's
could
not
be from
software.
any given
It was being
organization.
actively sent and hacked.
Anything.
You
Yeah.
don't think you.
But I still want
You
to
don't
I still want to
see
check.
any specific calling card that would make you think of any established thing. Like, you don't. Usually, for instance, the free captains would have left something of a calling card, most likely. Cultists would have left a calling card. There's no calling card here. That's the biggest thing that
Could I
bugs me.
think of anyone that might want to cause some sort of political strife on Castrovel? Because I'm
where's
like,
our dwarf?
I'm
The dwarf has. He's not really been saying a whole lot. He seems kind of confused about the situation in general.
he's being an NPC. So what I'm thinking about is that it doesn't necessarily matter that these two ships got into a fight over Castrovel. What was happening was whoever this individual or organization was wanted two ships to crash land on this continent of Castrovel. And so anybody that might benefit from raining ships down on the Elven continent or anything like, or causing that this particular incident would cause thing. And I actually asked, is there any reason that you can think of that causing two ships to crash onto Castrovel would be a problem for any of the peoples of Castrovel?
Culture to know the political climate of Castrovel.
Sure.
I'm checking to see if that scrap code is still a problem, by the way, in the navigation computer.
Because there's nothing of value on either ship.
Oh, the thing's
So
sitting
it's
there
not-
on data, or
Yeah, like
There's-
Our
if
experimental engine.
would
I mean,
this
yeah,
ship be
but-
like would this ship be able to fly properly and navigate properly, or would that scratch code still be a problem?
The sensors aren't giving you anything. The garbage data wasn't a software problem.
Yeah.
If the experimental engine was their target, they wouldn't have tried to shoot us down because there's no guarantee that the engine will survive that crash.
Well, I have a better question for
so.
you. This ship was only obtained by someone in this galaxy on a favor. What was the name of the dwarf again?
Perrin?
Yeah, Perrin. Perrin, I have a question. The man who gets favors from the academy, got favors from the academy. What are the odds that he obtained his ship in a less than diplomatic manner?
Ratzian? He's not exactly the intimidating sort, and he's very much a by-the-book sort of man. Was, I suppose.
Do you think there's any chance, though, that he got this ship and someone else didn't want the secrets of that ship getting loose around here?
From what he said, Mr. Zinn, the man who gave it to him, the man he bought it from, seemed pretty content with the deal that was struck.
Does that name mean anything to any of us?
Mr. Zinn?
Yeah.
It means something to the three of you, but that's out of game.
I'm gonna pull up the old ship's logs on Mr. Zinn.
You know what the ship looked like, right?
Yeah. No, I get it. Say in reference to his.
You look through the captain's contacts log, and my goodness, this guy had a ridiculous number of contacts. You see that he has Mr. Zinn noted as a guy that he met in the flight academy, and specifically Mr. Zinn was one of the first people to actually properly be in the Pact worlds from the system he's from.
So he's a native to that system.
Yes. There's nobody yet who is a born person of the Pact worlds, because they were just discovered like a few years ago.
Yeah, I'm more concerned that the issue is that somebody's trying to start something with Castroville, and we just happened to be a ship that was there.
And on your culture roll for Castroville, it seems weird to you on the immediate term that they would crash it here. This is the continent of the elves. They don't... Okay, they have a problem with everyone, but they don't have a problem with anyone specifically. They just want to be left alone by the world.
Also,
whereas the Shirans and the elves are still almost... The Formians and the elves are almost at a knife's edge. No, it's the Formians.
Formians and the elves?
Yeah. Formians and the elves. The treaty between them was only signed recently. If someone wanted to cause conflict here, there's an easy powder keg to blow by blaming something on the Formians or blaming something on the Lashunta. Lashunta and the Formians, sorry.
So if somebody was wanting to cause a problem in Castroville, they would want it to be an inter-Castroville problem. The elves of Castroville don't have anything against any particular people outside of Castroville. They just want to be left alone.
Wait. Who has an intercastable problem here?
The Lashunta and the Formians.
We landed next to a Formian hive.
In the Elven territory, though.
You suspect it would be a pretty isolated thing.
This would be an abnormality at best.
But what I'm saying here is, this ship that didn't get shot down, this ship landed next to a Formian hive.
Landed is not the right word.
Made an emergency landing. It's not a crash landing because it didn't go nose first because it literally couldn't do anything.
But there was an amount of control over where this ship landed.
Yes. But, again, let's realize that diplomatically we're talking about a small Formian colony. And it's the Formians and the Lashunta that hate each other, not the Formians and the elves.
But if the elves didn't know this colony was here, they're about to.
I don't think they're going to care that much. In fact, the elves might ignore this crash landing entirely.
Yeah, that's...
How likely is it that the elves do ignore this crash landing?
They would, by, planetary regulations, by being part of the Pact Worlds, be required to help a ship that crash lands. But if they never noticed the ship, they wouldn't be required to do anything.
Yeah, the elves aren't coming here. If somebody from the ship ends up in an Elven city, they will be required to help them get off of their planet as soon as possible.
Can I pull a reaction cannon out of that spare room
What level is it?
first?
Oh, sure.
And then just replace my little stag line with the reaction cannon. And
Go for it.
Stick the gun in my belt.
Look,
Yeah, okay.
I think that our answers lay in that Formian colony with the crew of this ship.
So Jet's presumably the engineer, based on what I can figure out from these logs.
Oh yeah, how these technological innovations he's got? How good are they?
These are some pretty advanced things. And also, from searching this ship, you found them in both of the personal quarters. It seems like they both have a pretty high degree of technical understanding.
Are there any interesting necromods in Bones' room?
These are all in his room, presumably because he is not currently wearing them. They're stuff that is experimental at best.
Just curious.
You don't think you could put any of these on without risking yourself exploding?
Well, no, I would have to have somebody install them anyway because I can't install them.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to install. It's hard to install things into your own body.
Oh, there's plenty of valuable loot if you want to try to loot stuff and
that's what I
repair it
mean.
on your own time.
Yeah. Loot is what I'm looking for.
Absolutely.
Look, because I know people that buy that.
That cannon-looking thing looks nice. There's a system that looks like it would go into the eye. You get about 4 that you think are pretty solid.
Sounds good. I'll be back.
Sounds like they're a combination of different types of mods as well, not just like tech mods, necro mods, etc.
It's all technology.
It's all technology.
All of it.
It's all tech mods. There.
Hey, I just realized something else to think about. Whoever is doing this has a great amount of technological control because they are jamming all of our devices, which means they're still interested in us.
Yep.
It wasn't just the
Probably.
crash landing they wanted.
Yeah, they'd care about whoever was left.
Any major enemies?
Yeah, who here has enemies?
I mean, in the Starfinder society, you just kind of make enemies just by being Starfinders.
Do I have any? Oh, is that
enemies?
how you explain all of your video dislikes?
Hey, I mean, it's a good excuse.
I'm going to
as
be
any.
frank, if I had any enemies this powerful, I wouldn't be here.
Obviously, as a field officer of Her Majesty's Militia,
I
I am a sharp
forgot
interest
he was
to
still
a
here.
You get a
variety
message on your
of
communicator.
You might
important-
not
Who's Her Majesty?
I would like to read that message. What's it say?
So you
Her
get a
Majesty?
message on your communicator
Yeah,
that's
who's that?
been supposedly disabled.
Her Majesty, well, it's an archaic title, really, because, of course, as halflings, we're in a democratically elected society. But really, the mayor assumes a royal title within the auspices of the secondary Shire worlds.
I'm going to shoot you.
So, message dings,
So
and
you're
it says,
village mayor.
maybe I'm not your enemy.
I'm going to respond to this message.
It doesn't have a valid way to respond. The address that it's from is garbled and seemingly nonsensical.
Presumably, you can understand the microphone of my phone. If you just
Who are you talking to?
tell us what we're meant to do, I pull up the text and show it to you.
Oh.
You just tell us what you want to do, it's a whole lot easier.
I immediately disabled the audio connection on my pad so that I can't be surveilled, and the camera.
I've got some bad news about how well that's going to work.
Diplomacy.
Do I get to make an engineering check on disabling the audio-video feeds?
Settings.
Unless you want to
Unconnect
specifically
microphone.
try to do a computer's role to disable them more, you would just disable them. You turn them off.
Yeah, I don't have computers.
Settings. Mute microphone.
On.
And actually,
Close video.
you,
Me. You.
Uh-oh.
actually the two of you,
They
because
won.
you're a Xenoseeker, you can make some culture rolls.
Alright.
That's not a great culture roll.
Do we have an AI around here?
Nope, that's not a good one either. 10.
15. But DC minus 5, technically.
I have an AI around here.
DC minus 5, technically.
Like how you included my technically.
I don't think it's a technically, but
I mean, it is technically. In a
you
technical term, it reduces
look
the DC by
at
5.
the garbled number that it says is the return number, essentially, and it's familiar something to do with Abalon, you think. Something about the formatting of the number.
Alright, so it's something from Abalon, so some sort of ancient sentient AI, potentially?
Could you give us a clue? I just say out loud.
Oh, and the diplomacy was a 24.
Diplomacy was a 24. You don't get any further messages.
So some sort of Avalonian AI. Okay. Did I see anything that made that would have did we see anything that would have made that connection?
I mean,
on
I
either
suppose
ship?
potentially, if we're going for fantastic ideas, it could be one of the ancient beings that originally created the AI on Abalon, but that seems far less plausible. Though, if it was, it would certainly explain a being of power great enough to do exactly what's happened.
Or a technomancer. Or a mystic. Like,
No, technomancers and mystics would have to be of some sort of extreme caliber. Yes, they do exist. I'm simply stating that beings that were able to create sentient AIs on Abalon...
No, I'm talking about crashing the ships. And silencing our communications. A technomancer or a mystic could do both of those.
Yes, but I'm presuming that something that was intelligent enough to create life on Abalon and possibly as well the sun would likewise be able to do this sort of thing.
Yes, true. Gods can do lots of things. It could be Saren Ray for all we know. It probably isn't.
So the sun is going down at this point. Are you going to try to spend the
How
night
far to the
in this
Formian
thing?
colony?
Yeah, we should.
It would probably be like a 30-minute hike through the jungle.
I would like to get to the Formian colony before we rest, but what does everyone else think?
I'd say stay here.
I don't
I would
want
like to
to
stay
be
here.
overnight in a Formian colony.
Yeah,
that
I'd like to
seems like
stay here.
danger.
Standard
Think of the
military
content.
procedure.
I
Standard
would
military
say-
procedure indicates we should take the most defensible position. This is a defensible position. We should secure the hatches, post guards and watch, and establish a procedure for resting and recreation as necessary to maintain both the physical and mental health of our soldiers.
Mostly, I just don't want to get caught outside in a surprise moss storm.
Well,
Yeah,
my thing is, I don't want to be trapped in the Formian colony by a mold storm outside if something goes sideways.
Yeah. So
Yeah, let's just stay here overnight.
and they're not gonna.
because we got the whole.
They're on foot. They're not gonna get very far unless the Formians eat them, which is entirely a possibility. But
Do they eat
Formians
undead?
aren't cannibalistic.
They don't eat
it's not
undead anyway.
cannibalistic if you eat somebody that's not your own race.
Oh.
Cannibalism
They
is technically defined as the eating of any sentient species.
Yes.
Mostly I'm joking.
Even if we were to eat a for one.
Why would you suggest eating A41?
Because that would be cannibalism.
A41's also made of metal.
I didn't say it was a good idea.
High on iron.
I just said it would be cannibalism.
So a lot of you are staying in the ship.
A lot of us. Yes.
That would appear to be the
The lot of us, or a lot of us.
A41.
I don't know why they would suggest that. It's
Just picking on him.
I wonder if I would be delicious.
Maybe with your sauce.
Well, I'm not going to lick him to find out.
All right. So do you have a particular watch order that you're setting up?
I just like leaning into the apparent speciesism of the Lashunta Fomorians.
Okay, so we secure the hatches.
So you secure all the hatches, close them all down, and are you establishing any kind of a watch?
Can I set an alarm system?
Is there
I
a
think-
way to
I don't
watch
want to trust
outside?
any machinery, given the situation. I believe our eyes are going to be the most
Well, are there
reasonable
portals?
defense system.
The alarms will be based off of the sensors if you
If
set
we-
them, and the sensors are
Fried.
I'm going to establish
They're not
a
spitting anything out.
watch checklist that everyone can use to follow good watch procedures. Can I roll
What are
a-
your good watch procedures?
I'm gonna
Sit
roll
on top of the ship
a
and-
bureaucracy check.
And they
for
don't sit
this.
on top because of the moss storms.
Oh, I know, but we.
The mold storms.
I roll a
close it,
19.
if anything comes out.
I mean,
Because we have a half hour.
we just lock the hatches.
So
Well, I mean,
specifically, because the sensors are out, you want people with dark vision on watch, and second to that, you would want people with more experience with the jungle, so that they would know what kind of things are individuals approaching the ship versus monsters approaching the ship. So immediately, you have dark vision. You have dark vision.
I have dark vision.
So we have plenty of people with dark vision in the group.
I have survival. He has survival.
I'm also familiar with
I have
this terrain.
survival.
They are the two primary people you'd want on this. I think
Do androids
androids
sleep?
dark. They do sleep.
And more importantly, do they dream of electric sheep?
No, they dream of regular shit.
Oh.
Fucking idiots.
That's racist.
I mean, Abalonian sheep. They're electric, but they're also sentient. So where do they fall in that?
Just because they're sheep doesn't need,
Just because they're robots doesn't mean they're not also sheep.
I can see 60 feet. I have 60 feet vision in no light.
Yeah,
no light. Yeah,
So-
Exceptional vision.
On your specific checklist, you probably want the weakest watch most likely first because you've secured the area at least to an extent, and then you'd want the primary people during the strongest hour, during the darkest hours of the night. So those two.
I'll take the first watch.
All right, I can
Let's hope
take
something
second.
happens then.
I'll do the last watch.
All right.
Cool. So everyone on watches, go ahead and roll some perceptions.
I'm gonna take my gun and grenades out of my cheek pouches.
Don't sleep on
You're
those.
slow.
Yes.
I recommend you leave the hatches locked.
5.
I have a good perception check.
And what are you on?
And
watch?
your check.
These are the weakest ones.
7.
And your check.
23.
Okay.
He thinks you're out there to see it.
So
Perception is one of my few skills below a +10.
all right. So you here. So it was a 7. Where are you watching from here?
Are we watching from outside the ship, or are we watching?
I would
Have to be
say
inside
on
'cause it's a
top.
Because it's
massive
locked
fog.
down.
I would say on
Yeah.
top so you can see everything, but then if
There's an
anything happens-
acid fog. You can't be outside the
Mold
ship.
storm.
There's mold
not
storm.
Red
acid
storm
fog.
and not right now.
I would presume
I mean, you
the
can
bridge
see it
because
if
we
you
can
caught
see out the window at least.
Yeah. So you are.
I'm probably distracted because I'm, glancing. I'm spending
But yes,
more time
the mold storm
glancing
will
through
eat you
logs
if you're
and stuff
outside.
than I am, the outside.
You definitely don't want to be outside during the mold storm.
So
It's sort of
You-
like Death Stranding.
let's go ahead.
Let's see. It's a giant worm. You're dead.
So you hear something thudding in the hallway behind you, and yes, you actually do manage to hear it. It rolled pathetic stealth.
I immediately, I'm going to stealth into the hallway and see if I can get into it unnoticed. Pulling my 0 pistol out.
You pull out your 0 pistol and
Give me a roll stealth to see if I can get there unnoticed, or would you have seen me?
go ahead and roll stealth. Yeah.
Natural 20.
That's a 30.
All right. So you are
Do you even
unseen.
do you even get an extra die on that one, or do you just not have to?
No, I don't get an extra on that one.
and you see, as you look into the hallway, you see a Formian. So this large quadruped with, think a centaur, but an ant, for those who
Yeah.
cannot see this picture here.
Why is it a quadruped instead of a septoped?
Because it's
It
got
has two arms as well. So it has the 2 arms,
Gotcha.
and specifically this one appears to be a warrior. It has a rifle that it's holding, and it's heavily armored.
How did he get in?
And it seems to have come in through that hatch in the roof.
I'm going to. It's a Formian. Essentially, I'm going to step out and be like, "Greetings." I've got my. I've shoved my pistol into my cheek pouch and I've stepped forward, hands up.
We require that you surrender this ship and submit to the jurisdiction of Fairhaven.
This is not our ship to begin with. We simply took refuge here in the night. This ship belongs to a different pair.
Yes, and you are the ones that shot it down. We require that you surrender and submit to the authority of Fairhaven.
Absolutely, so long as we will be guaranteed a free trial and the ability to represent ourselves with evidence that you can yourself find in this ship.
You will be given a trial to be monitored by the Grand Justice. Submit to the authority of Fairhaven.
How just are Formians?
Go for it.
Not at all.
Whoops.
19.
Does this noise wake any of the rest of us up, since our watchman didn't alert us?
So
He's talking loudly, right?
he's projecting pretty loudly. You can hear the mumbles of conversation.
But is that enough to wake anyone up?
These doors are not
Perception
super soundproof. I would argue that it would probably be enough to wake people up.
Okay.
So,
Cool.
so yes, how just are Formians? I mean, they're lawful neutral.
They do keep to their laws pretty well. They keep to laws. They keep specifically to Pact World laws as well. They have not historically given resistance to Pact World jurisdictions. So
Perfect. That would be reasonable. That will be reasonable so long as you also agree to utilize evidence obtained from our ship, which crash landed as well.
the details will be worked out after you submit to the authority of Fairhaven.
Very well. I will press the comms. Hello, we have some visitors. We are going to go over to the Formian colony now, and we are going to discuss with them the exact occurrences that of yesterday and the interference that occurred to us. If all if all five of you there's six so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dwarf 3, 6
7 for the door.
So okay. So if all 6 of you could join me.
I rolled a 23 on my stealth check to be quiet and unseen.
All right. So,
I was playing around too.
I take it you all begin making your way out of the ship?
Not yet.
All right.
Because they very specifically didn't list all 8 of us. We have 2 people that are good at stealth.
Whoever stealth is better can.
Yeah. So 16, 22.
There's 7 of us plus
22?
Yeah.
22 stealth.
All right.
Yeah, that's
and the 2
minus him. So there's only 7 of not him or not her.
Well.
So one of you can stay behind with the count.
Yeah.
I think I'm better at stealth than you are.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I got 22. But
I'm
anyway,
also small.
but I was thinking of that too. But I had to get my armor back on because I'm not going to sleep in my heavy armor. So if that made a difference.
Cool.
So yeah, when I figure out the count and figure out that he's slipping away,
Yeah.
I'll just go ahead and pop out.
Also, I can communicate with you guys without having to make noise.
Right. Yeah.
He's telepathic.
And I'm the one who is the species that is at odds with theirs.
Yeah, having a Lashunta present would probably bias the jury.
An undead Lashunta. It's like
Yeah.
a double bad.
Yeah. All right. So the lot of you, save for the 2 of you that are stealthing,
Just me.
You know,
Just him, 'cause I'll-
this is the point where me having video recordings of us being attacked and getting a threatening message is probably helpful.
You might want to edit those to remove my presence.
Oh yeah.
I can say you died in the crash.
all right.
Until
So
they go to the ship.
Until they come find his body.
you are heading out with
You won't
them.
find much of the captain's body either.
You see that the
Toaster.
one Formian is very much not alone. He's part of a squad of 8.
We can find our way
Greetings.
out of this.
My name is Grace. I was a hapless passenger aboard the Stinger. Unfortunately, if you will go investigate it, you will find that none of the actual crew of that ship have survived.
And under those unfortunate circumstances, I am forced to take command of this organization. I can work the deal with you.
Understood.
I apologize. This individual here is actually suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder from his long and distinguished military service, and I would please request that you be kind on him and grant him some medical allowance.
Bluff.
It's not bluffing that much.
Oh, keep that, I guess.
I assure you, I am the appropriate leader here, and I'm quite familiar with Formian protocol.
29.
I'm going to make a diplomacy check.
Diplomacy. Oppose his. Oppose his bluff. I'm like probably going on, gotta get a good one on this.
Get a battery, please.
Yes!
20?
Yeah.
The one that seems to be the impromptu leader sort of looks between the two of you.
Hi, I'm the one with the video evidence. Listen to her.
Like
The Grand Justice will decide this. Move along. They begin to usher you towards the Formian hive.
As far as I can tell,
I
this guy
follow
was
at a
asleep during all
distance.
of this.
I guess, and we're
Stealthily.
keeping all of our equipment, right?
They have not confiscated any of your equipment so far.
Okay. I want to keep it that way.
Probably because they're confident they can take us if we try something.
Do you have a suspicious amount of contraband or something?
No. I'm not
That's what you
soldier.
would say.
Farming stars, sure.
This is where we learn that star is just halfling slang for a particular narcotic.
This is where we learn that he's actually a Nazi witch.
Yes.
Once a Nazi witch, always a Nazi witch.
So
Okay,
yeah,
that's the classic.
and I've got my armor on, so I'm actively reducing the amount of light around me.
So, you are taken. It's, again, a fairly short walk. They know the best path through the jungle here. And you are taken to something that's essentially a large cave entrance, really, on top of this mound. It's something of a cave entrance with some traditional-looking buildings around it. They're almost spire-like, but very much modern. And something that appears to look like some kind of force field generator, you would presume for mold storms. And they usher you into the mouth of this cave.
Culture and being military, I'm going to try to analyze their military tactics, start to acclimate myself to how they're running their guard operation.
Go for it.
23.
So, Formians are a hive mind race. They have a telepathic hive mind, and they seem to be using that to its fullest. This thing is kept in perfect order. All of the guards seem perfectly positioned for any kind of strategy here. You notice that these caves would be pretty much impenetrable. They have regular watch posts through the beginning parts of these caves, and the defenses that seem to routinely patrol are all directly on schedule.
Does it look like I'd be able to get into this cave without an escort? Like, are they coming through a distraction enough for me to slip through, or does it look like I'm not going to be able to slip through?
The thing is, this entire hive has one point of entry.
Yeah.
All of their guards are on this one point of entry.
So probably not going to be able to slip through?
You wouldn't bet on it.
Alright, so, before they telepathically linked to Grace, I'm going to set up a camp on the outside, just so that we have somebody out there in case something weird happens.
I'm gonna think back. Alright, just remember that even if you're found, no one has to know that you are actually anything to do with us.
Yep. Is there a tree line that's visible from the mound?
It's sort of off of the mound, yeah.
I'm going to set up my my portable hotelier inside the tree line so that the view of it is blocked from the mound.
Sure thing.
Because I think I'm the only one that has portable means to survive the mold.
That's true too.
To survive the mold
I
storms. So.
had a cheapo tent, which wouldn't have survived the mold.
I have a
at all.
portable hotelier. Mine's not going to help you.
And
but
you
I
are necessary for some diplomacy here.
Yeah, I've got some diplomacy.
So yeah, I'm basically just gonna set up out there, and I'm going to keep watch from the outside on the colony and see if anything, because Grace was right that there's something squicky going on here with the crash landing and everything. So I'm going to see if there's anything that happens with either the ship or yet another force coming in.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So, a lot of you are taken through some of these twisting tunnels to the only area, the only chamber that could really be considered ornamented. The rest of this hive is set up pretty much bunker-like. It's utility first and absolutely nothing else second. But this particular area actually has some degree of ornamentation to it, instead of just the simple stone and dirt that it's dug into with dark steel reinforcements. It's actually got some proper polish and some presentation to it.
Do I have any comlink ability back?
It looks like your comms still aren't working. That could also be because you're massively far underground.
But like, can my comm even connect to the communicator of somebody behind me?
It doesn't seem to be able to.
Because I don't have to pull it out to do that. I can access it remotely because it's wireless. And
Yeah.
Knowing that I should always be establishing a good rapport with dignitaries that I need to negotiate with, I compliment them on the style and general efficiency of the military outposts.
Bureaucracy is a great skill to have with Formians.
Roll. You already had the roll for their bureaucracy. Go ahead and roll diplomacy.
Okay. This is better. 32.
Knowing Formians, the general, style of anything, there's very little style to be here, but they very much seem to appreciate the fact that you've noticed how well-structured, well-regimented everything is. You do seem to curry some favor with them. So, they lead you into the room where there is a single figure on the far side of the room that seems to have complicated ceremonial robes by the look of it, or at least what passes for robes for a Formian. And at the door there are 2 guards in full mech suits. And the figure seems to be sitting behind a well-ornamented desk and is basically at a bit of a podium, almost a throne room, really.
Greetings. We appreciate the opportunity you've given to us to come forward and help you to determine the truth of the situation at hand.
I would like to establish the rules for any court proceedings and how we can adjudicate this matter most efficiently, including the timelines and evidentiary procedures.
For now, the Boy Scout, the figure says, for now, we will have a hearing. We would wish to know what your side of events was.
Well, from the beginning, may I pull out my device? I have a copy of all the logs from our ship.
The guards behind you seem to stand at a more ready position.
You may take them from me if you would desire.
You may.
I pull it out. I place it on the ground. Doldrum. Display message log from immediately before ensuing of the firefight.
So, from before the message log for their
the message that they sent, that they didn't send, but that supposedly they sent us.
Your AI also handily mentions the specific time log of when it was given and displays the message.
I would also like to show a separate time log. I believe there has been some sort of interference between the two of us, because when I was on their ship, I was concerned and I found on their logs, Doldrum, if you could play a 4-year-old message exhibited by the space pirate vehicle.
The exact communications?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it pulls that up. Same identical video.
Again, with the timestamp of when it was recorded.
Yep.
Thank you.
Also casually confirming that they're space pirates, not us.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And, Doldrum, if you could pull up the bridge records, if you could pull up all of the bridge officers for the Stinger, which is, of course, going to be the helmsman, the captain,
Dead.
and the Sheeran.
Dead.
None of whom are here.
You pull that up with the full crew listing there.
Unfortunately, none of the three of them survived the crash. We were all simply aboard the ship at the time.
And I am going to consult my pad for
Because Aaron was-
JAG officer procedures and look up standard interstellar protocol for trials and evidentiary standards and submit these as evidence.
You are able to rattle off the specific. Actually, yeah. Go ahead and roll the. Yeah.
Roll your bureaucracy.
Would also be the dwarf who is.
Pardon? No, the dwarf is not part of the bridge crew.
Oh,
I
no,
said
the bridge crew. Got it.
I was very specific.
You roll a 1.
Yeah, I mean I have a plus 11, but
So still 12. Still a pathfinder score.
Because technically ones aren't auto failures on skill checks. It's DM's discretion, though.
You give a pretty blanket standard one that you think that's the Pact World standard. It should be the same here. They don't. The figure doesn't seem particularly impressed, but so. How did you acquire these recordings?
As soon as the ship landed, we were immediately concerned as to what could have happened. So I, being a bit of an engineer dabbler, I plugged Doldrum into the ship log and pulled up all the records that I could obtain. You can see that they were not edited in any manner on my device. And if you go to the ship itself, you could pull up these exact same logs there.
I see. One of the figure sort of moves its head to the side for a second, and another Formian walks in and looks at your device and starts to poke around, specifically looking into the file exactly to see that your claims are indeed true. It looks up again, moves back.
They have fire spider elementals.
I step up and make my impassioned plea. If the log is true, you must let us goo.
Roll diplomacy to not anger this.
I apologize again, as I mentioned.
Grapple check.
Just stop.
I'm gonna come up behind him and put my mouth. Gurg him. Can I?
Diplomacy is 22.
Just
Are you just immediately doing that?
I'm just gonna grab him.
Go for it.
Wait, what would I have to roll against?
It's against your combat.
Your
AC versus combat maneuvers.
It's what? It's
Hang on.
is it my
It's under your AC.
So the AC
okay,
versus
so my kinetic armor class.
Plus,
it's your KAC plus 8.
Okay.
So
you don't roll anything. It's just that number.
Oh, it's 30.
Okay.
It's what?
Rolling a touch attack, I believe.
No, it's a
rolling attack.
It's a combat maneuver,
it's
so
a
it's
combat
just an
maneuver?
attack.
Yeah, it's an attack.
A regular attack.
It's an unarmed attack.
Okay. Oh, honor. Okay. Yeah. Right.
Unarmed attack
so,
versus their KAC. Versus their KAC.
They're not Johnny Cochran.
29.
29?
No, 20. Sorry. 23.
So thing. Not enough.
Not enough.
No, no.
You try to reach, but
He's
he
fast.
sort of
His
slips away
dexterity,
from you instinctively.
Yeah. And
What's
enjoys that.
your AC versus combat maneuvers?
Versus combat? Which one is
The
that? That's
Titanic
the
AC plus
32.
32?
Yeah.
One of the guards in the mech suits grabs you by the shoulder. It's not something that you can't slip out of, but you notice that he does it.
Yeah,
Are you
okay,
attempting to
that's
slip
fine.
out of this?
No. I just back off.
We would appreciate that you do not try something like that again. Which, congratulations, they have forgotten your comment.
There, you can see the log there. Whatever odd communication happened, I believe it would mostly be on the science officer of the Stinger. Unfortunately, nothing is left of him.
What did you do after the ship crashed?
Well, we immediately downloaded the logs to see if we could figure out what happened, and after suspecting something strange was up, and learning that our ship had sent some odd signals out that we could not trace, we decided to go to the ship of the space pirates to determine, to the best of our ability, what had happened on their end. I believe that they would truly not be our enemies, based off of everything circumstantially. There was no reason for them to have crash landed. Our attack did not disable their engines.
Roll some diplomacy here for this whole thing.
I wish I had a d6 to my diplomacy, but I don't. I do, however, have a good diplomacy, so that's 22.
Alright, and you've presented a pretty good case here. The Grand Justice seems to wait there in contemplation, possibly in telepathic communication. Wait here.
You can use a giant space whale as a ship.
Yes.
Yes, it's the
The
Whaler
Oma.
Mark III, I believe. It holds 128 tons of
No, it's
cargo,
120
it's just-
and
it's
it can
just-
carry
no.
11 passengers as opposed
It
to 8,
comes
but it
from the same place
requires
as the Stinger.
a crew of 6.
It
It's
looks
the Oma,
very, very similar to
which
that.
is an actual giant space whale.
It's
you
the
can
Whaler
use-
Mark III, but it
It's the Whaler
requires
Mark III.
6 crew members instead of 4, and it only has a 2-corp engine.
You can use. You can. Oma can be directed. Oma can be directed telepathically as a starship.
So a Lashunta would fly with an Oma.
Typically, it's.
Okay, so did they go up to pick
So-
up the pirates and bring them back and have a discussion here?
Through the main doorway, there
It can be a
are
reptoid.
2 individuals that walk in.
Reptoids.
So you see,
Once undead.
one of them is indeed undead. Pretty much entirely a skeleton, though with a large number of technological augments and
Now,
artificial.
I want to make a note to the DM. The person who looted his personal belongings is not with us.
Yep. Outside of me.
And any of the items that were in their cargo bay that were weapons that members of the party did loot are smuggled, stolen goods.
Well, but they all look alike, so they don't know if they're from their hull or from us.
Well, I'm just
yeah,
clarifying.
I know. Right.
We've got somebody who can pull up their accounting logs and verify that they didn't have record that any of this stuff was on their ship.
Should this be Jet and Bones?
Yeah.
So yes, you recognize the undead one as very much being the one that you talked to on the communication channel.
As soon as...
So I say, yeah, hey,
He
Jack,
has this simple ragtag armor with a lot of technological modifications. Ragtag, but very solid. Freebooter armor specifically. And you see the other individual is a female Lashunta, who again also seems to have a whole lot of technological modifications. Specifically, she's wearing boots that look very heavily armor plated and modified.
I will not I apologize for the miscommunication between us. It appears that whoever was sabotaging the autopilot on your end was equally sabotaging communication and other problems on our end. We would appear to have a common enemy.
What did you say about me dying?
I said something in order to escape the combat.
His face isn't very expressive, being dead, but he very much glares at you.
You are a space pirate, right? You can appreciate a certain amount of gall and silver-lined tongue, right? You understand the importance of mentally unnerving someone in order to try to get something by them as best you can. I was in a situation in which an idiotic captain had decided to do something that I cannot for the life of me understand, and was merely trying to make a best escape as possible, and I used the only tool I have.
I
Also,
feel your pain, says Jet.
Also, you let a Yusoki get under your skin. You don't even have skin.
Bones, I like these guys.
As I said,
And then
Bones seems
pretty hacked off.
irritated. He walks forward and turns towards the judge here. So, it would seem as though the only constant in your story is the fact that they are so wildly inconsistent. It would be very easy for us to write off both of you, both of your groups, as liars, simply attempting to get the best out of this situation that you could.
Is this the Justice speaking?
Yes.
I mean, I've got corroborating video evidence because I'm a member of the Starfinder Society and an entertainment individual. I have video recordings from my perspective of everything that went down.
I would like to note in the record that these individuals have not denied the charge of space piracy and therefore are in clear violation of the PAC Accord on international trade and acceptable interstellar procedure.
That is not what they are currently being charged for. They they will receive the punishment befitting their crimes. The one currently being tried here has yet to be fully determined. What we know, supposedly, is that there is an outside force interfering with your communications. We have noticed a similar force.
it's worth noting, if you attempt to use the communicator on my device, it can't communicate with, or at least has not been able to communicate with anyone else.
Our own access to the infosphere has been similarly blocked. Thus, before this case can go anywhere, the source of this disturbance must be found.
Yay!
I accept the mission that you assigned to me. I will require some soldier resources to execute it, however.
You will be given soldier resources to monitor you, to ensure that no escape is attempted.
I feel as though another method of ensuring both our ability to work and in fairness to all, that these two individuals, Jet and Bones, I believe, be
They
allowed
will similarly
to
be
assist
sent
us.
along with you.
Yes, that way we can be assured that all parties would, and if one of the parties is in the wrong, the other party will check them and keep them honest.
Allow me to say, we have outstanding charges of space piracy. We can't work with pirates.
I apologize, but it would appear that there is no current evidence of them being space pirates, aside from immediate aesthetics.
Allow me to submit incomplete logistics logs, which I believe will prove that they have not properly submitted to tariffs.
Not submitting to tariffs does not make one a pirate, it makes one a tax evader, and
tax evasion is a law that would need to be brought forth
By the,
to a larger entity than merely a small pack worlds group, such as these people here. These people are more intrigued by anything that would affect this continent or planet, such as the presence of potential infiltrators or marauders. Tax avoiders are not a concern of theirs. It would be for the greater Pact World courts to decide.
I like how every time Taylor comes over, we end up spending half the game playing against him.
Thank you.
That's why he's...
They already have a list of outstanding charges, and the Grand Justice actually pulls up a physical list that unfolds, and unfolds again, and unfolds. It reaches
Does it reach to the floor?
down to the floor.
You guys are good.
He has also been in captivity here before.
What about
We
her?
released him as it was shortly after the gap, and his charges were non-existent. We assumed, since he was an old man, that his mortality would cease his crimes.
Well,
Really good.
you messed that up.
I like your gumption.
Bones just shrugs.
How'd that work out for you?
Please don't taunt the people putting us
No,
on
I'm talking to
trial.
Bones.
Or shrugging his shoulders.
I mean, hey, that would have been rotten in prison, Jet says.
No, the rotting's already happened.
Yeah, but he didn't rot in prison.
It's fair.
He rotted on his own terms. We will be sending you with a small contingent of our best armed warriors to keep all of you. And he glares at every one of, and the Grand Justice glares at every one of you in turn, in line. Protector Ekvor, Protector Eltan, you will be accompanying them. The two individuals in mech suits offer salutes.
Okay. So just two of them, huh?
We have not received word. These mech suits are the real deal.
Aw. How cute.
So, we have not received any word of other settlements outside of this immediate area being affected by this signal blocking. We believe it to be a nearby phenomenon, and I believe you had mentioned, indicating towards Bones, that you had an inclination as to where it might have been coming from. Some small work I've been able to try to figure out on my own. But it seems like this lack of signal can be triangulated. And he pulls out a small device that holographically projects a map that has a bit of a heat map indicating possibilities of where it might be.
Cool.
Then it is settled, says the Grand Justice. You will all depart in the morning.
Back to sleep.
The Grand Justice nods, and the two guards indicate for you to head out of the room. There is another contingent of guards just outside.
I believe you'll be escorting us to our sleeping quarters.
We will.
Excellent.
Follow along.
Yeah,
Thank you.
They look really cool in Starfinder.
They do.
It's basically a temporary jail cell.
I believe
I don't think they have
it would
chainswords
be
in
worth
Starfinder.
noting that since
What?
we
I
were
don't know if
not
they have chainswords in
convicted
Starfinder.
of any sort of crime, would it not be more appropriate for us to be in guest quarters?
These are guest quarters.
They look at you funny.
I
mean,
don't
these are
think the
everybody-
Formians have much of a concept of like guest
Yeah.
aesthetics.
I just go. I go pick out a bunk. Get out of my armor.
They lead you into rooms.
They collapsed ASMR and Tieflings into planar scions.
All right.
And one of them,
Presumably also Ganassi.
as you are shuffling into rooms,
Huh?
one of them stops specifically you in order to make sure that this operation is not interfered with, one of your number will have to be taken as collateral.
That one.
And they take you off.
You're better
So-
at paperwork anyway. You'll be able to file all the reports.
You're in a separate cell now.
I'm gonna file a complaint.
They have put you in a cell with surprisingly little paperwork to be filled out.
I'm still going to file a complaint.
I don't think
They just kind of seem to blankly stare at you.
I don't think anybody cares.
I would like to file a complaint, please.
I would like to file a complaint.
And with all that done, in the morning you lot will head out on your mission, but I believe that will have to wait until next time.
Say goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everyone.
Farewell.
Goodbye.